Hey everybody, this is Tactical Reserves. I'm Brinks.
I'm Zach.
Roy. I'm Anvil.
And I'm Chad.
And this week we are going to be going over all of our standard topics, and the main topic this week is going to be deployment and target prioritization. We're gonna, go in depth on what we think, how to identify targets and knowing how to deploy, mainly if you're going second, like the things you need to focus on. But yeah, let's go ahead and start with this week in hobbying. Zach, what'd you do this week?
I finished up my first squad of Alaris Terminators, so 5 down, 5 to go so far. So I buy another 10. But
Nice.
got another Praetor done and 5 Terminators, so not bad.
How about you, Troy?
I built a few Venoms. I think that's about it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Anvil?
I finished building my 15 aggressors. I got them all primed and painted black, and I've got a third of them with because I'm doing Death Watch, their arm is silver, one arm silver. So I got that done. I built a Primaris Captain, got him primed and base, and I built Ragnar Blackbane, got him base, and I got his wolf cape roughed in. I got it looking like a wolf. So that's what I got done this week.
Nice.
He is a unit.
What about you, Chad?
My drop pod came in the mail, so it's primed black now with white on top. I'm gonna add the blue and the gold to it later. Devastators are in the mail. I got the metal pieces and the magnets finally in the mail to finish basing the whole army, and I finished a squad of intercessors. I just want to do a little touch up on the chest of the sergeant. And I need a better flesh because the flesh I have is a contrast and it doesn't go over the base that I have.
Okay, right on. I actually just did some airbrushing on my plasma effects on my Necrons. Just slowly. I'll sit down for 20-30 minutes. So I did a little bit of that this week, but that's legit. It is sprayed some coloring on the guns to make the glow effects. I just have a lot of glow, so that's all I did. But yeah, let's go ahead and move into games played this week. Let's start with, well, honestly, I want to start with Zach and Anvil's game, because I think talking about guard, the other games will kind of go over quick, but I want Zach to have a little bit of time to talk about guard before we get too deep into anything else.
Okay, yeah. I've been pretty down on guard most of ninth so far, but I read some stuff this week about special weapons teams being 1 power level and only 45 points if you load them out with plasma. And I was like, well, that's pretty good. So look into that, and you can take 3 squads of that, 2 command squads with 4 plasmas, those guys hit on 3s, and a company commander. And that puts you at 9 power levels, so you can outflank all that for 1 CP. That seems really good. Then I go to, everybody knows Demolisher tank commanders are really good. So I played 3 of those with heavy bolters, and when I was testing them, I had heavy bolters and las cannons, but I've since removed the las cannons to put heavy flamers. It's got 1 hull heavy flamer, 2 heavy bolters, and the Demolisher, all 3 of them like that. And 2 regular Leman Russ Demolishers, with 1 with a hull heavy flamer, no sponsons, and 2 mana cores with hunter killer missiles, and you give them both the full payload.
You can do that to both of them?
Yes.
Oof.
So you lose your warlord trait, but your company commander's your warlord, so you don't care if he dies anyway. He's going to be an outflank. Alpha strike something with plasma, and then
They each have 3 missiles?
no, they each have 1 missile.
Yeah, it's 1 missile, but it does a flat
it has
6.
1 hunter killer missile, and then it's got the 4.
Of the other missile.
Yeah, you can only shoot 1 per turn.
Yeah.
So,
But they're -3 flat 3.
no, they're -2,
But they're flat 3.
but they're flat
flat
3
3
damage.
damage.
So
And their big missile is, what, -3 or 4? And flat 6?
The big missile is strength 10 -2 flat 3 with the tank 8. So the demolishers are strength 10, the mana cores are strength 10. So my whole thing in 9th edition, everybody knows, is you want to be able to kill T5 models efficiently. So playing 5 Leman Russes that do at strength 10 and 2 Manticores at strength 10 a lot. And then, like, for your low power shots is 36 plasma shots that you always overcharge because they're 45 points for a whole squad. So they're strength 8. So any T4 Marines wandering around just get annihilated by that.
And it's good AP on Marines.
It's minus, the plasma's -3, obviously.
Yeah.
Demolishers are -3, and they do D6 damage.
We'll play it versus Marines this week to see how bad I get just crushed.
It did.
Yeah, you played against him.
Oh,
I played against Death Watch with a bunch of aggressors and Eradicator, so the strength 10 was super relevant. So it felt really powerful. I mean, I lost, but it felt really good. Like, it's probably the most killy list I've seen in 9th edition.
I played Death Watch, and Death Watch gets to kind of abuse the rules, as in I got to take kill teams of 5 aggressors and 5 intercessors. Those are troops, so they're all objective secured, and you get to use the models that have the most toughness determine the toughness of the unit when they're determining wounds. It's tied. I get to choose. So since aggressors are T5, I get to say my unit is T5 when you're going to wound. So it didn't. It's relevant against Zach because he's strength 10 and just wounds on 2 anyway. But against other
Generally, that's very powerful.
that's very good. Also, you get to pull intercessors until you can't pull intercessors anymore instead of pulling your aggressors.
Yeah, he's got like a 10 wound buffer on 5 aggressors.
Yeah, that
And
seems
then
very good.
I'm playing apothecaries to run around and hopefully revive guys. And I did against Zach, but I played against Troy later and they didn't. They stood around collecting the gene seed. Yeah, but so I played 3 of those squads: a Watchmaster, a Primaris Watch Captain, a Relic Contemptor Dread with the twin las cannons, and 2 apothecaries, and 9 eradicators. That was my list. And if I don't go first, I lose that game convincingly. Because Zach's stuff just kills Marines so efficiently. If you get 5 or 6 up saves, and every one you miss is just a dead Marine, at least. And he just
Should
be.
And do you even care about line of sight on most of your army?
Well, the mana cores don't need line of sight.
But the rest, I mean.
But the rest of it does. But
the range is so far.
I'm playing the custom regiment that gives the demolishers 30-inch range, so the eradicators are 24. So for them to shoot on the first turn, you can deploy deep enough where he has to advance. Then he's hitting on 4s at least and wounding on 4s. So it's not, the eradicators are super scary. I mean, he killed 2 chimeras on the first turn with them.
And I think wounded
But
doesn't even rust.
But I left as many of the russes back as I could. That way he couldn't shoot them.
And if I don't get that chip damage in as I did,
Over.
I just get obliterated.
Yeah.
Because everything he shot at just died.
Yeah.
Like there was no, and aggressors are so slow getting across the board. You're just never going to get there before he can just take the squad out.
Okay. That's awesome.
But yeah, his.
So what were your highlights of the list?
The mana core with the flat 3 damage, not needing line of sight, really powerful. I still think that the tank commanders with the demolishers are just
absurd.
They're just super killy.
Yeah, eradicators, aggressors, all those just dead. 1 wound, just dead. Get off the table.
What was your highlight model for you that game?
Well, again, in that game, I would say it's probably either the eradicators, which perform well, or the Relic Contemptor Dreadnought.
I didn't really shoot at the Dreadnought a lot. I mean, it was killing a 10 turn, it felt like, but you can't get punched by 5 aggressors.
Yeah.
You can't let that happen.
Yeah, so the Dreadnought, 4 last cannon shots hitting on 2s.
Yep.
And Death Watch, you get mission tactics.
They wound on 3s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get mission tactics. So my mission tactics is I get to choose a battlefield role, and I get to reroll 1s to wound against that. So Zach obviously has a bunch of heavies. He's heavy, so I'm hitting on 2s, wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s to wound.
That's nice.
And if I park a chapter master or a watch captain over there, I get to reroll 1s or reroll the hits.
Yeah, that seems good.
So it was doing a lot of work there, but as far as Death Watch is concerned, I think just the kill teams because I played against Troy too with Dark Eldar. The kill team with 5 aggressors and 5 intercessors, and the way I loaded that is they're bolt storm gauntlets and then heavy the stalker bolt rifles on the intercessors, because aggressors make the squad ignore the penalties to move and shoot.
That's really good.
So aggressors can advance and shoot without penalty. The squad can just move, and the heavy stalker bolt rifles can shoot without penalty.
But if you advance any of the unit,
then
They can't shoot.
Then the intercessors wouldn't be able to shoot.
Right.
But you
But if
can
you just
you can move them, and then they can both shoot, and there's no penalties.
Right. That
Uh,
seems really good.
But it's that way. So I mean, the Stalker bolt rifles are 4-2, 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
You
that
can still wound on
that's
twos.
good.
and it can make them wound on 2s, so special ammunition.
Nice.
So
That seems good.
against
Yeah.
non-vehicles.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. But I think those squads, because like Troy said, that's a 25 wound troop unit, and basically you got a 10 wound buffer before you get to my aggressors, and then I have an apothecary following them around,
You can bring stuff back.
trying to heal them and bring stuff back.
Yeah.
So, like, even if you have good shooting, you got to kill 5
A lot.
intercessors before you can kill an aggressor.
Yeah. That seems good. So, Zach, first, what did you? I know you said you were bleeding. Command. Like, what'd you do wrong, or what would you change next game?
Well, it really boiled down to I ran some guardsmen that got blown out of the Chimera off of an objective and into cover because I thought I'd need them later in the game. And then I lost the tank that was on the objective, so I just missed out on 5 points. I only got 5 instead of 10 for a turn, and the game was pretty big swingy on that. Like, if I do that and then, like, one other thing, I probably can get within striking range of that game.
What was your layout? You guys have 5 objectives? Or
We had 6
you
objectives.
have all 6?
And it was
Anvil went first.
it was on the Dawn of War. Long edges.
The 3 and the 3.
Just to mention, like Zach said, that he lost 5 points on that because he lost that objective for that turn, and the game decided by 4 points.
Right.
So, like, that was a huge.
Yeah, it was
Their
just a
game was
mental
really
mistake.
close.
Like, if he has to kill 8 guardsmen and a tank, he might kill him because he's playing a bunch of killy stuff. But
Yeah.
At the same time, I ran those guys off there thinking the tank would be fine, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause it turns out I got
But you're a little rusty on.
I am a little rusty on the guard. The other thing is I didn't have like we preach and preach and preach that you have to know which secondaries you're built to beat,
You did not.
and I didn't go into the game because I hadn't played the list yet. I thought I was doing one thing, and it turns out it's definitely a grind them down list. Like 100%, you're gonna kill more
yeah, you got
against probably everybody other than like custodies.
Yeah.
You auto gave up one too.
But,
Yeah.
but you're auto giving up, bring them down, so you have to find other ones that you can max.
Yeah. Makes
Like,
sense.
I'm giving away 15 points for sure, so I have to find one that I can score 15 points on for sure.
Yeah.
Just to balance it out.
but the
So-
list was super. Like everything Zach decided he wanted to shoot at was dead, and that's just
Yeah, it's very killy. And it's got better range than Eradicators. I think other armies with long range could give it problems because there's not a whole lot of screening units. And anything that puts their whole army on my lines could be a real problem because I don't.
You can still touch tanks and
Right.
make them sad.
well. But now he's playing flamers. At
No,
least
that
you
was
got something.
that was actually what I wanted to ask. How did the heavy bolters feel being as expensive as they were in their current loadout? Did they feel awful or just
15,
fine?
right?
They don't feel great, but you can't. I don't feel like I can just put mono heavy flamers on my tank commanders and just get nothing out of the extra ballistic skill that they offer. So I have to shoot something, but typically in 8th edition it was plasma that you would put on the sponsons. Super good, but those are blast weapons now. So if they do touch your tank, you can just never shoot anything.
Yeah.
So now you have to take the bolters, and I'm putting the whole heavy flamer in because I'm playing the custom regiment with 30-inch range, and you get to reroll one, like the catch and reroll thing. So it gives you one for your
Do your-
both. You can reroll.
Are your heavy
Auto
flamers
hits.
going to get the 12 inches?
I think so. I think they are. But
Because mine are. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
If it's all
Well, that's
They
all
haven't
we got to
said-
figure out.
They haven't
later on.
said. Really.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I was just
the
curious.
heavy bolters don't feel great, but if they go to 2 damage like the rumors, they would feel a whole
Yeah,
lot
they
better.
would.
Yeah, yeah, that feels like that's right in the wheelhouse of what you're trying to do. So, what about you, Anvil?
The thing with my Death Watch list is I still haven't. It's secondaries. What can my army do? I played another game against Troy, and I ended up having to take Raise the Banners both time, and I've scored like 8-ish points in both games, probably.
I think you scored 9 in the one last night.
And
I was looking at.
You scored it.
I scored 8, and then I think I scored around 8 against Zach, and it's like not been bad,
But it's not great.
but it's not great.
And you've also had 6 objectives both times.
Yeah.
So you had 2 in your deployment zone.
Yeah, so
Well, I think that's the only time you
Yeah,
take raise the
that's why I
banner.
agree.
So,
well, and it's part of the reason I did take it, but another is I don't have good options. Like against Zach, it's like, oh, bring him down, like
One.
done deal. And then it's like,
It was the same against me too.
well, and then because Zach has bring him down so easily, then the ranks is also good because he's bringing vehicles, which are a point, and squads of guardsmen, which aggressors will chew up and like nobody's business. So I was like, okay, well that's easy, that's 2, but that's nothing I can depend on with my army. You know, it's not like I'm gonna play guard every time.
Yeah.
So I gotta find a way to be able to score points. And we've talked about Troy. I thought raise the banners. We've talked about the shadow operations, the action ones, and we talked about it last night. And I think we are in agreement that deploy scramblers is the best one now.
Oh, it's 100%. As long as you can do it,
It's too easy.
it's
I
like
think,
it's
I think on
not
turn two,
it for debate. Yeah, because if you can do it for 2 turns, it's 8 points.
Yeah, Troy
it's
got
10.
10.
It's 10. I thought it was 4 points in
No,
the.
it's 10 guaranteed.
10 or 0.
10 or 0.
Oh, that's the 10
This
or
is the
0
one where it's
oh,
your deployment zone, the middle, and then your opponent's deployment zone.
okay.
But all the actions end at the end of your turn, so they can't stop you.
Woo.
All you gotta do is get there.
Yeah, so Troy played Mandrakes,
Mandarin.
deep struck him in the back corner, and was just like, I'm doing an action with him. And then it's like, in his first turn, he did it with some unit in his deployment zone, like, well, you know, whatever. And then,
I got some shitty dudes.
Yeah,
then the second turn, he moved some dudes behind the building into cover, and was just like, they're gonna do their thing here, and these guys are gonna deep strike in this back corner, and it's gonna complete by the end of my turn, unless I paid 2 CP to Oxpec scan him, which I only had a squad of like 3.
There was nothing close.
Well, no, there was that squad of 3 veterans, but even then, they're -1 to hit.
It might not even.
Yeah, well,
And yeah, so it's like even if but that's just I'm paying CP to shoot at this crappy little squad of mandrakes.
But you did end with 10 CP that game.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you can't argue that.
you were also getting boots pretty hard and being super salty, and I didn't want to like.
I wasn't.
well, hang on. Let's just focus. Focus on.
But so there's nothing you can really do to stop it. I mean, if you're not Marines, you'll get the Ospec scan anyway. So Troy just.
Well, I'm
drop-
asking about your list, though. What are you going to do with yours? We're going to ask Troy about his next.
I think deploy scramblers is probably the best option. We've talked about the second game I played. The aggressor, the Primaris kill teams, which they got a name. There's the like Ferris kill teams, and then the other kill teams, which is like the veterans versus the Primaris. So I played 3 lists of the full Primaris kill teams with 5 aggressors with frag storms, and 5 intercessors with stalker bolt rifles. That was my. I played 3 of those, and then I played. When I played Zach, I played 2 apothecaries and 1 dreadnought. So now I've taken away one of the apothecaries and added a squad of 10 veterans with storm shields and storm bolters,
Yeah.
because they just got a 3 up and vulnerable. They just got
Seems
3
good.
up at all times. They're only 1 wound is right now, so that's the issue. So, but I can split those into 2 squads of 5. So what I think is going to happen is I'm going to play 2 squads of 5 with troops because I'm playing a battalion, and then I can pay 1 CP and deep strike 3 eradicators and 5 of those guys. So I can put one squad of those guys in my deployment zone, because if I take time turn off with those guys to do an action and I'm missing like 5 storm bolter shots, like woo, you know, like whatever. If I take one of my kill teams and got to do it,
That's a problem.
that's a lot of that's 340 points of firepower that's not doing anything. So I'm gonna drop one of those into my deployment zone, do the action there. The second turn they can move up. They're pretty durable. All they gotta do is move out of my deployment zone 6 inches. So even if I just advance them 1 turn, do the action, it's done. And then I can deep strike eradicators in them. So if I have to in a pinch, I can always do it with eradicators.
Yeah.
If I want to. But otherwise I drop that squad in a corner somewhere in their deployment. Do the action there, it's 10 points.
Cool. I like it.
So I think that's
You got a game plan now.
I think that's probably because it's way better than raise the banners, because I don't have to. They can't take it from you. Like that's the problem against Troy. He got an objective and took 1 from me. Zach took 1 from me.
Yeah.
It's like they can actually shoot you off the objective and then come touch it and just undo. You took a turn off with a unit, raise the banners, and then you're trying to hold it, you know, so you don't lose it, and then they just shoot it off and then touch it, and you just reset you a turn. So now you're taking multiple turns off to keep getting this point, and you could, you know, you don't score enough. So I think
Right.
raise the banners is not where you want to be, and I think I'm going to change my list to.
I would say not in your list, for sure.
I think a lot of lists. I just think you don't want to take turns off, and like Troy said, deploy scramblers is so much easier to do
Yeah.
because everybody can pay a CP to drop some crappy units in a deep strike just to get 10 victory points.
Yeah. So now we've already talked about Anvil's list. You and Anvil played, and you busted out Eldar, and you won, right? So
Yeah.
I want to hear about your list and what you did and what you would do differently after your game.
I took 6 Talos, 4 Venoms. I took the Incarn, the big whirly Eldar chick, bunch of shitty dudes and 2 Ravagers with Disintegrators and 1 Dark Lane. So,
and you're forgetting the key guy.
oh, Drazar, he didn't do anything.
Yeah, but you got
No, the myth, the legend, he was there, but he died real quick because he can't fight 25 wounds of aggressors.
Yeah. Not a lot can.
Nah, he killed all the intercessors, but that's about it.
Anvil's list is scary on the table. It puts out a lot of shots. It's very durable.
Yeah, then
The
he
game
charged it, and I was like, okay, I get 20 attacks with Power Fist. He's like, what? And I was like, they got 3 base, and you charged them. That's 4 each. You know, like
Yeah, it did not look good early.
Yeah, normally, I lost all the Talos on the first 2 turns, and
one
I
Ravager and then a couple
didn't
Venoms.
even kill the Dreadnought, and he killed the Ravager. Yeah, it was
Well,
rugged.
he didn't kill the Dreadnought, but he put it in his bottom bracket. So, well, I'm saying, but Troy's army is all his like flyers are -1 to hit. So
Okay.
it's like hitting on 5s. It's not really that effective anymore. I mean, he basically has neutered it.
The Venoms, I thought about it more. Like, I was kind of down on them because they do die pretty quick, but they're fast. 16-inch move, and they get 10 shots. And I took them in the custom Coven. I gave them Dark Technomancer, so you can overcharge their guns for 1. They +1 to wound, and they I think I forgot their 2 games.
Well, you showed him a veteran.
And they take a mortal wound if you roll 1.
So they're like
Anyways.
plasma on
But
tanks.
it's just 1 mortal wound.
Yeah,
No
that's
matter how
great.
many- no matter how many ones you roll.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
it's like the Leaving
Yeah.
Us thing.
So it's just like, did you roll a 1? You take a mortal wound.
Yeah.
Did you roll 4 ones? Doesn't matter. You take 1 mortal wound.
That's amazing.
So it's pretty good. I used to take on Talos because then it gives them really good stuff with the Haywire Blasters.
Yeah,
But-
and like Troy used it, like he'd engage, he'd run 1 forward, and if I killed that one, he had 4, so he just run another 1 forward.
Oh, I only played 3 because I have a list with 4, but it doesn't have the swirly chick.
Yeah, but I mean, basically he kind of held him back and behind cover, would run 1 forward, and like get engaged, and then if I blew that one up, it's like run another 1 forward.
So they're -1 to hit. Not great against aggressors because they just have so many shots and they only have a 4-up save. But a lot of times they're going to be, like against heavy firepower, they're actually pretty good because they're already -1 to hit, and they're pretty fast. I didn't do too much, like I didn't put anything crazy in them. Like Drazahar was in 1, and a lot of matches he'd be okay, but he didn't do much this game.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah. So things were actually looking pretty dire. I was like, but I stayed with primaries. I got 10 every turn, pretty much every turn of the game, for the last turn.
You got 15.
On the last turn, I did, which is kind of what swung it. But just being mobile, did the deploy scramblers, like you said, it was real easy. I was really surprised. That's the first time I've ever done it, because when you read it, it's like you only get 10 or nothing. You're like, I don't know, that's probably not worth it. Too much risk. But it's so easy to do. Like, I don't think the risk is actually there.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I was working hard to like raise the banners and move forward and get another one so I could try to get these points. And Troy's just like,
Give me
I'm
10.
gonna drop this dude back here. Yep, that's 10 points.
It's not like casting the same spell 3 times
No.
with 1 psyker.
No.
I was just like, oh well.
That one's rough. So,
Like,
the Venom, I got out 16 inches. It got on his side of the board. And then the second turn, I just got the guys out and ran them back behind the building so that he just couldn't shoot them. Like, they weren't in the building. They were behind it. And he has no line of sight shooting. And his army's slow. He couldn't get around there. So I just did that action there. And those guys just kind of held that for engage.
That's awesome.
So
Double it up.
So what would you do differently?
what did I do differently? Against his army, I don't know.
Would you make any changes to the list?
I've been toying around with cutting the Talos. I love Talos. They're like the reason I got in the army. But they take 2 points each on bring them down. And I take 6. That's already 12
Ooh,
points.
that's almost max.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like once again,
So I'm
I played Troy and my army was like, well, bring it down.
So I stopped taking Prophets of Flesh, so they don't have the 4-up vulnerable. They have a 5-up vulnerable with a 3-up regular save. 6-up Feel No Pain, kind of useless. I mean, it works every once in a while, but it's not good against Eradicators or anything like that. So they're really good when your opponent brings vehicles, but people aren't bringing as much vehicles as they used to.
It's very
Yeah, that's
elite.
valid.
Or if they do, it's
Yeah.
like transports or things that like
They're normally nasty
Whatever.
in melee, but 25 wounds of
Of course.
Marines is hard to get through.
Yeah.
Like I give them the chain flails so they get 30 attacks with no AP, which isn't really where you want to be against Marines.
No.
Or you can have 15 attacks at minus 2 AP, I think. It's flat 2 damage, but it's still not good against aggressors. That's where I came up. Like all my melee this game was not very good, except for the Incarn.
Which did work.
She did do work, but she didn't come in until turn 3. Because like just the way it played out, like Anvil never killed something and didn't have like 80 shots left to shoot. It's like I wanted to bring her in. This is a good spot to bring her in, but he's like, I still got this squad of 80 dudes to shoot. It's like,
yeah, that's right.
Campbell was so efficient at killing stuff. He still had full kill teams that didn't have anything to shoot at. So he's like, yeah,
Oh my god.
you could bring that chick here, but she's gonna be dead.
She's just gonna take it.
Well, she's probably not. I mean, I could inflict some damage on her, but we rolled out. I couldn't even. Yeah, I couldn't kill her.
She can go down pretty easily.
She can, but it would take. It's not.
And I didn't have
not
much
a
screening.
guarantee.
Like at that time of the game, I didn't have much screening left after the first turn. So it was so mostly it was hiding, and just my movement was faster than his. And I kind of ended up taking up half the board.
Yeah, but that's what you're good at.
He was mobile. He had more. He had easier secondaries to achieve without having to like obliterate things. You know, like he didn't have to fight to do his stuff.
Well, he took grind him down, so hiding was actually good for me. Like there's no points on my side.
Well, once again, my list didn't have secondaries that I thought I could easily achieve. And Troy's list plays a lot of monsters and vehicles, but they're less than 10 wounds.
Yeah.
So I couldn't thin the ranks. Like against Zach, I could double up. I could be like, bring him down, thin the ranks. Because each vehicle is three bring him down and 1 thin the ranks point. But against Troy, they're not. They go on the tally. So I could like table Troy and scored 6 points. It's not worth it.
Yeah, all my vehicles are 10 wounds or less.
So like some of the other ones that I want to tank were already in the one with Bring It Down, which is I think an easy include because like you said, Talos are 2 points, Venoms are 2 points, Ravagers are 2 points. It's like
you'll get it.
So it's like I had to take that one, and I just couldn't find a secondary that I liked. So I took Raise the Banners and I took Grind Them Down because I thought, well, my army is actually pretty tough to kill. And Troy didn't kill a unit for the first 2 turns. Like he killed models, but to kill a whole unit, like I said, that's a 25 wound unit that can be healed. It didn't because my apothecary sucked. But
I think apothecaries are cute anyway. I don't know if I think they're like a neat trick. I don't know if they're...
When they bring back an aggressor, they're insane. When they don't, they're
they just do nothing. That's what I'm saying. I just think they're cute.
Well, I'm playing the Relic Contemptor, so I need another elite slot anyway.
Okay.
So it's one of the cheaper elite slots, unless you just want to play another squad of aggressors, but they're expensive.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll just play an apothecary. I can run around behind this squad, and I can either, if they've taken a couple Primaris or intercessors out, I'll just bring the intercessor back. If not, I can heal an aggressor. I can do, and he can do actions on some of the actions.
That's true.
So I was like, because he doesn't lose the aura. Like if I do it with a captain or a watch captain, you lose their aura. So I was like, well, gives me an option there. But I think Troy's secondaries were much easier to achieve than mine were. I had to work a lot harder to get them.
Yeah, well, that's because you didn't know what you were doing with your list yet. So.
Yeah, and so I think Troy won the game on the back of I killed a lot of stuff, but he didn't have to kill things to. All he had to do was hide, use his -1 to hit, and survive.
Yeah,
and he just, like you said, he got 10 points from one objective, and like I killed everything I could and couldn't get that many points out to grind him down.
Yeah,
so Troy took better secondaries, and he used that to his advantage, and that's how he ended up winning.
Right on.
So I need, like we talked about before, I think I just, now that if I use the deploy scramblers, that's probably easier to achieve 10 points with the list. It's still pretty killy, so that I'll either be able to like grind them down or bring it down. One of those 2 should work in that list. I got 2 to work from, and then if there's a list like Zach's that I can double up.
Yeah.
On one,
if the list gives you a secondary, obviously take that secondary.
I will say, what I would do different is I would not charge. I did it twice that game and it did not go well.
Yeah,
like,
that's good.
Talos usually kill whatever. Like I was killing animated robots, killing tanks, and whatever. These dudes are dead. Get in there.
They're not vehicles, so they don't get mortal. So
I just meant like they're fighting. They're melee.
Yeah,
they kill a lot of shit in melee, and they just killed the intercessors.
Yeah, that bubble. That
they still had 20 power fist attacks coming back at me, and that was just too much.
All right, well, we'll go on to Chad and I's game this week. Chad, you can start first. It was Ultramarines versus the Chaos Soup list. 2.0 this week, and you want to talk about what you played, Chad?
I played Ultramarines. Shocking, I know. Bobby G, a captain, chapter master, lieutenant, Storm of Fire as a hero of the chapter, ACP for it. 3 intercessor squads, 3 eradicator squads, the drop pod bomb with the devastators, and a Inceptor squad. Oh no, 2 bike squads. I didn't play the Inceptor squad.
2 Outriders.
2 Outrider squads, and that was it.
Oh, nope. This list you played a Thunderfire Cannon.
Yeah,
Oh,
the MVP of the
and
game.
the Thunderfire Cannon.
That
Yes.
was the VIP of the game.
The
Thunderfire
MVP
Cannon.
model of the game.
I was like, whoa, there was a Thunderfire, sir, because it's what.
And-
with the Tech Marine gunner.
Yeah, and I'll go over my list real quick before we go into what happened. So I played the Scarab Cult Terminator Bomb. I played Obliterators, Helldrake, a regular captain with a jump pack, a big squad of Rubric Marines, 2 Exalted Sorcerers, and then I played the Triple Nurglings and the Lord of Change. And I exalted him, and then didn't use any of his exalted abilities. So
Okay,
that wasn't ideal.
I also had a second captain in my list because I was playing a battalion and a patrol, and I didn't use my second captain. He did
Yeah,
nothing.
he is not 300 or
I'm just saying,
275
like-
points.
Well, I mean, the birds, you lost the CP there. Bird
Yeah.
was still bird.
Yeah.
The buffs, though, might have kept him alive.
Might
Yeah,
have.
but you were just testing. You were like, I'm gonna try
Yeah.
a bird and see what this is like.
Spoilers,
Did
I'm not
you-
taking the bird. We'll go over
Did
my...
you pick one or did you roll?
I didn't do any of it. I took him exalted
Oh, you
and...
didn't even pick.
No!
I thought you were saying you forgot it.
No, I just didn't even
He
pick
just
one.
didn't do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like
I built it and I was like, maybe I'll roll. I don't know who I'm going to be playing, so I don't want to lock it into the list.
Right.
So anyway, I did win. And our deployment was the weird corner deployment. And it was how many objectives? 5 objectives,
5
right?
objectives.
So, Chad, you can go over what happened from your perspective real quick first, and then I'll try to do mine real quick, and we'll move on to questions.
Chad go first.
I went
Chad
first.
went first, yeah.
I went first. He screened really good for the Devastator bomb. So
Yeah, I bubbled him out of
I mean, it was
2/3 of the
it
table.
was barely, but he bubbled me out. I could get the drop pod in, but I couldn't get the guys out. So the dev bomb did not come down turn 1. I waited a turn on that.
Which I think is actually good in the Ultramarines.
Yeah, but he
Because
forced
he
it
doesn't-
into a bad spot on turn 2 just to
what
get
he
it
could have
down.
done, we talked about. He had his scouts in the middle. You
I
got
don't want
scouts.
to get
I did.
too deep
No,
in the
no.
weeds.
Well,
But I mean, he could have just moved the scouts off the middle objective and just dropped them dead on the center
which
objective.
is what
But what I'm saying is they're better in Ultramarines, specifically on turn 2, because he gets out and it
and
doesn't
then I don't have a penalty for
Moving.
shooting his heavy weapons.
Because
So
I'm
it's
in
actually good in Ultramarines
because that's their tactic.
and parking him in the middle would have been so bad for him. That was where all of my firepower was. He parked him.
But our
Yeah,
mission,
he shoots him and then you
You
got to kill the
generally
drop pod.
expect them to die. They only
Our-
got one wound, no invulnerable.
our secondaries are we had the mission where if you controlled the middle, you got 3. If you controlled
Theirs.
theirs and the middle, you got 5. So we both took that. We both took engage on all fronts.
Yep.
Engage on all fronts, and then I took while we stand, we fight.
And
he
I took
He
assassinate.
took assassinate because I had 5 characters, which was bad because Bobby G died and came back and died again. But he came back for the second time. But I went first. The dev bomb didn't come down. I went out. I moved the Outriders onto the objective where he had his Nurglings. Shot 60 shots at him and did not kill him. I got what was the plane?
Helldrake.
The Helldrake. I shot my Eradicators at the Helldrake and put it down to 2. And this is where the entire game changed because I should have stopped shooting everything because I wanted to just kill the Helldrake because it was in the middle. It was going to be in the middle soon. I used the Thunderfire Cannon. I halved its movement.
which doesn't work.
Which doesn't work.
Which doesn't work. We found out later because I cheated blatantly.
Didn't matter anyway.
Yeah, it was like
It didn't matter, but
Because it was already bracketed, so
it was already bracketed to 2. But I had 17 shots because I spent 2 more CP to shoot the Thunderfire Cannon twice with that thing at 2, and I didn't kill it. And it flustered me, so I just took everything else that was in range of it and tried to kill it, and still did not kill it.
He just didn't convert a wound. It's hard to shoot a bunch of Street
And-
4 weapons at
Yeah.
a toughness 7 model.
What I should have done was just drop the dev bomb in the back corner in the one spot it could get in, shoot the Rubric Marines, put the Thunderfire Cannon into the Terminators, put all the little shots into the Terminators and the Rubric Marines, and charge the Nurglings with both squads of my bikes instead of one squad of
Which
bikes.
I actually asked you if you wanted to do,
Which
and you were like, no.
I said no because I didn't want to take the Outriders off that objective, but turns out Nurglings I could just walk back on next turn.
Well, you could. The bikes are pretty good models,
I might have been able to fit
so
it,
you could charge with the first two and leave one on and still touch them, and they can all fight.
But-
it's like it's a pretty good.
Even if you only fight with two.
because I didn't shoot the Thunderfire Cannon or any shots into the Rubric Marines or the Terminators. I was focused on the Helldrake. He went on his first turn and put 80 shots into my Eradicators, and they were all dead. And then another 30 or 40 shots.
The
into-
rubrics didn't do anything the whole game.
It was bad. They took 80 shots, just
The
didn't work.
Terminators,
Well, they did-
literally, I did the same thing against you with Terminators as I did against Anvil with Like, for some reason, people just keep ignoring Terminators, and they do 80 shots a turn, and they just kill shit.
I didn't ignore them. I just couldn't kill them.
But a couple things. One, I didn't know. I don't know his stratagems or his army that well. So I didn't know they could do 80 shots. Yeah, I could have asked, but I didn't know that he had a stratagem that they could shoot twice. I just thought the Helldrake was going to be a problem because he's been talking up the Helldrake for 2 weeks now.
He's
And
also been talking up the Terminator.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
but
mainly
the Terminators weren't there. They were.
You've been talking about the Terminators on the podcast.
They would have been -1 to hit because they were all in the woods and
Yeah.
they were far away. I could only reach them with 2 squads of bikes and 1 squad of the intercessors. I should have just put after the first
but you
2
have.
Eradicators. I should have put the 3rd Eradicator and Bobby G into them and tried to charge them.
Well,
with
they were out of
Bobby
line of
G.
sight, so none of that could have happened.
No,
Let's clarify.
they-
The
no.
3rd unit of Eradicators was behind his
Well,
building,
but he
and
could.
so was Bobby
But
G.
he had a plan going in. He could have moved those to touch the building with Bobby G, and then just
And then just went to
pounded the Terminator. So, like,
Yeah.
had he,
and you redeployed because I won.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I would have I would have been there, actually, no matter what.
The
Yeah,
whole,
that's what
the
we're- but I'm
whole
just
game
saying-
changed when I didn't kill a single Terminator, and he got 80 shots and just. Well,
Yeah.
I got tabled by turn 3. It was the beginning of turn 4. I had
No, I finished you off on turn 5
Turn
because
f-
I started being. I thought I was losing until turn
going
4.
into turn 4. I was winning heavily.
You
well,
significantly.
Chad had a lot of points, but he was just getting
Just losing
the
too many.
volume of fire that the rubrics, because the rubrics didn't do a bunch, but they did take out some intercessors and just they cleared off that like they killed like 10 Mercs.
They killed the Devastators.
After turn
Yeah,
2,
but
I
they killed
realized I
stuff,
messed
but-
up, but it was too late to get the rubrics and the Terminators down, so they would stop, killing my entire army. And
You
Bobby
got,
G went to the game came down to at the end where I could have still won. Bobby G got to the middle and he was facing off with
an Exalted Sorcerer.
an Exalted Sorcerer, and they were both in the middle. Bobby G had already died and came back with 3.
And I charged him
And
with
he
the
charged
Exalted.
him, and I fired Overwatch, got it to 1, and all Bobby G had to do was make a 3-up save, any 3-up save at all, and
Well, he made 2 out of the 3.
2 out of 3, but I didn't have a CP.
like he made 2 out of 3.
No,
It's not.
but-
No, he
but
made
if
2
I-
out of 4, and
but if I remember right,
I didn't have a CP left to re-roll one.
Yeah.
because the
either.
because the
Because I
Overwatch,
overwatched.
but if I remember right, you should have died in Overwatch by math, but you made a couple of saves to keep him alive, right?
No, I think that
That
was
was-
our game.
that
Yeah,
was
that
a
wasn't-
choice.
There was one game
No.
where like
But the Exalted Sorcerer lived at 1, and Bobby G died, and that was a 22-point swing. Because he was while we stand, we fight. He took away the mission. He took away engage on the fronts. It was assassinate points. It was bad.
It was brutal.
It was bad. That lost. I mean, the game was over at that
Well,
point. We
but-
played it
but-
out for
The next turn. That was
Yeah.
turn 4.
but
still.
yeah, Chad got drowned in dice.
Yeah.
is what happened. He tried to go after the Helldrake instead of the 2 units that were just gonna pour.
I will say this. You guys keep saying that, but if he played optimally, he would have fired the Thunderfire Cannon at the Rubric Marines because they weren't -1 to hit. That would be the optimal play there going into the first turn of the game.
Probably.
That is the optimal play.
I think you still shoot the Terminators.
Terminators are
well,
-1 to hit
well, I
with
hit
4
on
up in
2,
bombs.
But your rubrics were so far back.
I
But they can jump anywhere on the board, though. And him knowing that they can.
The Thunderfire is specifically bad against your list because you can redeploy on the fly with multiple units.
Yeah, I'm
The
saying.
whole reason he's playing the Thunderfire is to have movement when you just get to ignore that anyway, so it doesn't really matter what he shot at.
Yeah, I'm saying rubrics were the more optimal
Well, you
choice. Like
definitely
if he
shoot
played at maximum
That's easy to
optimum,
wound.
if he played at best, he would have shot like at his best on his first turn, not knowing all the information of the whole game. Shooting rubrics would be the better play. They're easier to kill. They have less wounds.
With the
they're
Thunderfire
not
cannon
-1 to
and
hit.
one squad, but the mistake was made where my 2 squads of Eradicators put the Helldrake to 2. The third squad couldn't see it because I was kind of screening them away. And I should have just, at that point, it's at 2. That unit does not matter at all now.
It doesn't even matter that much on the first turn.
No, it doesn't
but
matter at full
I
wounds.
rolled- I rolled
Like,
12
Grace is bringing it so you will shoot.
I mean,
Yeah.
I rolled 12 dice and it was at 2. I used 2 units. They did their job. At that point, I should have ignored that. The third squad, I could have put them on the building and just started shooting. All the other 70 shots that I shot at it where I didn't kill it, that could have been into the rubrics and the Terminators.
Yeah.
And even if I get half, even a third of them, I'm not taking 80 shots. And then I didn't shoot them on turn 2 either.
That's where I think you
Like-
made the mistake, is on turn 2. I think your turn 1 wasn't the worst, other than you could have killed some rubrics. I think turn 2, when you continued to shoot at the Helldrake, was where you. I'm just saying, everybody's giving you a lot of shit for the turn 1 play. The turn 1 play, you would have shot the unit that actually. I cut it from the list. It did so little for so many points that
And I
game.
think Zach was right. Leaving the death bomb in Deep Strike for a turn, that was right.
It wasn't bad.
I didn't say it was bad. But
He doesn't have a giant target to
there-
death bomb anyway.
There was
Yeah.
I could have, because of having the mission, I could have. I had the scout. I deployed a scout squad on the middle objective. I could just move them into the building and drop the drop pod in the middle. Because yes, that would have been worth 3 points, and then the Devastators could have shot at the Terminators on turn
but then you
1.
have to waste
But-
time killing the drop pod. You have to waste shots on the drop
It
pod.
might have got
to
me-
take away his victory points.
It might have
And it's
got me, another points, but I almost,
Well, it doesn't cover the whole objective, right? A drop pod doesn't.
Mostly.
It can't cover a whole objective.
Cover the whole
not
No.
the whole thing,
But
but
if you run Terminator on there, it doesn't take the objective away from the drop pod.
yeah.
Yeah, I would have to put
One
my
rubric
Marines
right
on there. Yeah, I'd have to put a Marine.
But I mean, you're
unit on
wasting time on a
It
drop
would've
pod that
made-
did his job. Or you know what I mean? It's just like
It would have came in, they would have shot at the Terminators. They probably would have got, a couple.
That's the unit they're designed to kill.
Yeah.
Strength 5 -3, 2 damage.
They
you get
would.
to reroll
or a
all
D3 damage,
wounds and
whatever.
I mean,
damage
that
rolls.
like,
that
that's
could have
what
been the
it does.
only turn 1 play I think that I could have done differently. I felt like I played turn 1 good.
I thought it was a good game.
outside of
Yeah.
the keep continuing. I shot the Helldrake first. I got to 2. I should have just kept in my head, okay, this doesn't matter anymore. Because against Troy last week, I did the same thing against this tank. I got it to 1,
and then
and
it
then
tunnel
just
vision.
I tunnel visioned on the tank.
Yeah, it was T8, so all his bolters wounded on 6s. There's
Where
most
if I
of it
would have
wasted
just
time.
started
and-
shooting other stuff, I mean,
And he was chaos. It was Land Raider that got better in melee and only could get wounds back if it killed some in melee. So Chad just kept charging at it because his boulders weren't working. He's like, well, one is going to kill it.
Yeah.
so
And just
finally,
running guys
finally
into it.
Bobby G went in there and killed it, and then he died with it.
Yeah, so it's like he wasted all this. And this is what's going to be our main topic. It's
Wonder why.
it's priorities.
Target prioritization.
Target priority. First deployment.
I kind of feel like we got to the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so let's hold off.
But I mean,
Yeah,
but that's what we're going to talk about later. Like
Yeah.
Chad,
So let's
tunnel.
not talk about it.
Yeah,
I'm saying,
we're not.
well, but his thing is he tunnel visioned on the Helldrake.
Yeah,
I
we've
get-
established
in
that.
my game,
We
We've
have
established-
definitely established the tunnel vision to Helldrake. Let's move on.
And
So, what would you change about your list, and what would you do differently?
We keep talking about how the always having two things you can do. While we stand, we fight is good for me if I look. His sword is on fire.
Yeah.
Okay,
You can't take it on some guy that you're going to run to their army the whole time.
he does work. No one sitting here can dispute that he does not do work, no matter
Yes.
what he's up
No.
against.
but he
But
does.
But he
if
dies
he's
every game.
worth 10 points to me, I lost the game because Bobby died. If Bobby just sat back and hid, and shot at it and then maybe charged it on turn 5 or whatever, and have a lot left, but you still, you don't really want to come into Bobby G. I mean,
Hey, the issue is you instigate fights with Bobby G that leave him exposed. You got to pick him better. So Chad takes While We Stand We Fight, and then like he ran his characters. I think he ran a captain up with him too, right?
Yeah.
All onto that middle objective, and then they're just
Yeah.
out there in the wind, and then they get picked off.
I'm relying on making 3-up saves to
Which-
get While We Stand We Fight, which I can't do.
No.
I mean, I got
wise decision.
0 points from While We Stand We Fight this game.
He had a Thunderfire cannon left at the end of the game.
If I just took, even if I took,
But it had a tech marine.
It did have the tech
It can
marine.
still shoot.
I could have took a Boar the Witch.
Also, is
Would-
the
would
tech
be
marine a
better.
character?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but I can still shoot at the Thunderfire cannon as long as I can see it.
You can shoot a Thunderfire cannon. You
Yeah,
can't,
Can't shoot
shoot
the
it.
Tech Marine.
Because he's standing
that's
next to a
fine.
vehicle.
Unless you
Yeah,
got a
that's
sniper
fine.
rifle.
But it
Well,
only
if
has
unless
4
he runs
wins.
off. If he runs off into the wherever.
I thought about other other secondaries I can take. I did play another game this week. I played against Troy, and I kind of cheated a little bit against Troy, and then I hit a dude on turn 1. I said it was there, and then we all forgot about it for While We Stand We Fight.
Yeah.
He had it hiding in a
It was
building.
in a building. and
I
then-
thought it was a different character on the board, and I was wrong.
But,
But that's not really.
I played
He also didn't do anything the entire game. 'Cause
Yeah,
Chad
he
forgot
did
about it, too.
nothing.
Yeah.
He literally sat in a building and he was worth 5 points.
Chad likes to say he didn't forget him, but he.
I forgot him on turn 2, but then I realized Troy didn't shoot him either, so I just kind of kept my mouth shut, which was kind of cheaty, but I told him it was there.
He did before the game. He's
So
like,
what
"Put
are your
this dude right
changes?
here."
Well, you changed your list a lot, right?
The
Well,
list is completely
I
different.
changed the whole thing way different because I added 2 Relic Leviathan Dreadnoughts for the game against Sunshine, which I think it's down to 1 Dreadnought now.
I think that's the right play. You
So
just gotta
Bobby-
protect it.
I think Bobby G's still good.
He's
Like-
back. Also, I didn't have Bobby G in the 2 Relic game.
Yeah.
Bobby's back as well. I went to just 1 Spearhead detachment. I have one that's 1 Spearhead that has, 3 Eradicators, a Relic, a Thunderfire Cannon, the Dev Bomb, and then I have one that has no Eradicators at all, just to use the points.
Yeah.
Like that one has, Outriders back and the Inceptors, and it's faster and moves around, and still has the Dreadnought and everything. I'm going to try them both between, but Linebreaker's really good if they don't scream at all, because you're like, Dev Bomb, there's Linebreaker. That's 2 units, boom, 4 points.
Yeah.
Kill them. You didn't on turn 2. There's 8. That's home. 8's good. 8's where you want to be. Linebreaker is really good, but I don't think. I mean, we talked about how.
Well, plus, the Outriders your Outriders are very fast too. They can.
Yeah, they're
they
awesome.
They can slingshot the board
Yeah.
hurry too.
Yeah, it's
so.
just I'm. We discussed at lunch this week that the Dreadnought with the points. We thought it was going to be, it went up 47 points. It couldn't be that good, but now that it's still really good in Ultramarines, not like in Troy's army where it's 420 points. Mine's only 350. Fully loaded out with the 100 Slayers, it's 365, which I think I'm going to do that because you can just pump them all in 1 turn and I can make them hit. It's going to nuke something.
Yeah.
The Dreadnought will kill 1 thing,
Yeah.
if not 2 things.
Another thing is it provides Bobby G,
Yeah, they can protect each other.
Yeah.
because that's the problem. Chad didn't have a list where he would surround his characters with Eradicator squads or
Intercessors and stuff.
intercessors or whatever, and you just picked off a couple of them, and then
But
you can
they
hammer
will
his characters.
protect each other, and no one really wants to come into the Dreadnought when a giant fire
Yeah.
sword is standing there.
I agree.
That's all I really would. I mean, I just kind of more reps.
Yeah.
More reps.
So my plan on the game when we played was basically the way I saw it is I went in like Zach. I still don't know exactly what I'm doing. This coming week I have a plan for the list, but last week I still didn't know what I was going to do. But luckily Chad gave me While We Stand We Fight as a free 15, the way I saw it, and Assassinate as another free 15 because I knew my army was going to kill him. I was like, I think I can table him. So my whole plan going in was I took a note from hearing Zach talk about custodes so much. I was like, I'm going to slow roll it. I deep struck the Obliterators because I knew Ultramarines could be super killy. I deep struck them with the jump pack captain. And once I realized I was going second, I got Duplicitous Tactician on my sorcerer. I redeployed some stuff around just to do some shenanigans, and that was pretty much the start of the game. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to try to whittle him down, let him rack up points for a couple of turns, and then try to close the game out. And I actually thought I was losing on turn 3. Like, I felt like I was pretty handily beaten. Like, I was down. I hadn't scored any. Like, I got 5 points on my primary, I think, for 2 turns. And I got basically no secondaries at all. Like, I was like, I have clearly made a terrible, terrible mistake in this game. So finally, on turn 2, I went ahead and I did drop in my obliterators, which they're obliterators. They killed like both of his bike squads, and I cleared out a whole quadrant of the table pretty quickly. And he hadn't really put enough focused firepower on the Scarab Terminators, so now he's just taking this obscene amount of firepower from these 2 units that are just each going to kill a thing a turn, for sure. And so what I did is I just started basically putting the squeeze on him from there, and I played the Lord of Change and the Helldrake as like distraction carnifexes. I thought the Lord of Change was going to be way better. It died in a turn. So that sucked, but it still kind of did its job. What I learned from the game is this list doesn't need big models. It actually needs to be slightly more killy, actually, and a little more versatile. So, and now I have a game plan. So I made my changes to my list. I made some pretty significant cuts, but so the new variant is a Chaos Lord and Terminator armor with a combi plasma, 3 units of 5 Marines, regular just Chaos Marines, a full unit of plasma combi Terminators, a full unit of plasma combi Bikers, a unit of Obliterators, and those are all Alpha Legion, and there's significant reason for that. Then I've got a Demon Detachment with a Change Caster and 3 Nurglings. I just picked the cheapest HQ that I could get that could cast Gaze of Fate. And then Nurglings are insane. They're insane. Like, they're so obnoxious to shoot at. They can just sit on something and just be rude for 2 turns. Even against Marines. And that's all you really need them for 54 points a unit. Like, it answers a lot of questions for the list. And then my Thousand Suns detachment is still the 2 Exalted Sorcerers. I've got an extra CP, which I think I'm going to cut the Dark Matter Crystal, because everything Thousand Suns can be Sorceress Facade, which I didn't realize. I thought it was just Marines. It's anything. So I think I'm going to cut that because I don't really need it. I'm playing a unit of Zangors, 10 Zangors, just to bubble my HQs, and then still the full unit of Scarab Terminators. And what this is focusing on is a lot of the Alpha Legion tactics. First off, there's a lot of -1 to hit. There's a whole second Terminator squad that has a -3 AP, flat 2 damage with the supercharged or overcharged weapons. I plan on parking my captain next to it, and hopefully the idea is to prescience, so I'm hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, so I really shouldn't have a lot of Terminators dying to it unless I roll really bad. And even not supercharged, their weapons are solid profile versus not 2 wound models. So they don't always have to be supercharged, and they always rapid fire, so...
They will always supercharge, agreed.
Yeah, probably. Most of the time. But, like, I mean, they're like, against Devastators, I wouldn't supercharge them.
Yeah, if you're going to shoot
1 wound guys.
Guardsmen, whatever. But
yeah, if you're shooting guardsmen, but you shouldn't be shooting plasma guardsmen.
Well, sometimes it's a range thing, so...
It's always going to be supercharged.
The big thing I'm gaining from this...
Points, not
Yeah. These guys are
That's
a little
one
bit more
Terminator.
expensive. They're 34 points apiece, so... The big change in the tactic is now I can answer a lot of questions. First off, I've cut the vast majority of Psychers. So you only have 4 psychic units in the army that you can kill. And one of them is the Terminator Bomb, and that is a hard-ass unit to kill.
You have to kill the whole unit to get to the side.
Yes,
right?
to get to the
So
sorcerer. As long as
you've got 3 psychic characters.
yes, but none of them are designed to do anything but sit in bubbles. So the idea is it's hard to kill them, right? Like, they're killable, but if I'm playing the way I should be playing, they should not be exposed.
Somebody takes aboard the witch against you, they have to kill all 3 squads.
They're basically going to have to kill the
You
entire...
say kill the 3 characters.
Yeah, you have to
So
kill
you
the 3
have to
characters.
Get to the characters.
Yeah, the idea is I'm going to park the characters in the Terminator Bomb. So, like, you're going to have to chew through the Terminators to get to them. And then, even then, you still got to deal with a lot of other throwaway stuff, because I'm just going to force feed stuff around my characters.
with the new rules, I've seen a lot more people moving to assassins. Now,
because they don't care about lookouts or
The sniper one doesn't.
One doesn't.
The
Vindicare.
well, because you can pick one in your list, and then it's what 2 CP to switch it.
Yeah.
I think it might even be one or free. I'm not sure.
But I think you got to pay CP to switch it. But
If you have one, it's pretty.
so a lot of people are just putting the one that makes stratagems more expensive in their list as default, and then if they go against a list like Aaron, where they can get aboard the witch, they'll just pay CP and just try to snipe his characters, because a lot of the lists you look at are multiple small squads. Nobody is playing like there's not a lot of lists out there like Zach's, where it's just like a bunch of tanks or a bunch of big units. It's lists playing just maxing out on three eradicator squads and then 3 aggressor squads and then all these troops, and there's not a big target to shoot at. So they're putting their characters, dispersing them near these units, and you can't really, they're not playing big characters like the bird. I mean, you play the bird, but I mean, he's
I
indestructible.
played the bird against three times this week.
Dude's indestructible. You can't get
It died.
Well,
it died in one turn.
You also didn't take the things that make him. You didn't exalt.
It was only one thing, but still, I mean, it's not indestructible.
Well, yeah.
Volume of fire will beat it on good saves. It's like anything else. Volume of fire beats good saves.
But
I played it against Sunshine too.
No, I didn't play.
Oh,
but
that's right.
you didn't show up. But so I have seen some lists, Imperium lists, moving towards maybe saving 100 points on the list for assassins.
Yeah.
And then.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying
but
it's
I was just thinking about, you were talking about you'll be able to put them in bubbles and stuff, and I was like, I've seen people talking about assassins getting better because armies are doing like what you're talking about, putting characters in bubbles with small squads. They're not playing big vehicles eating up points. It's just a bunch of bodies.
Yeah.
Well, the sniper did get a lot worse because he's a lot harder to screen. He is just a character. But before, you just threw him up really high,
way far away,
just behind your infantry, whatever. Can't shoot him.
Now you gotta park him close to
He's
stuff.
got to be close to something.
And he's
It's
only
2 CP.
Is it 2 to switch?
Yeah,
Oh.
and he's only -1. He's only -1 to hit. He used to be -2 to hit.
Yeah. So anyway,
But that's an option.
the main change is now I've asked myself, what secondaries can I take? Well, I've got 3 basic bitch Chaos Marine squads. I feel like I can raise the banners comfortably with those units. If I have no other choices, I can definitely comfortably dominate. I've got an obscene amount of movement and board control, so I feel like I can take engage on all fronts pretty comfortably with this list. And let's see here. I felt like there was a whole bunch. Like I had a list of all of them I could take. I feel like there was a lot that I could take, and I could just pivot versus whatever army.
Being as you could jump your guys.
Yeah, and I've got bikes, and I've got Nurglings.
You could do the scramblers.
Yeah, I can
that's
do
pretty
the.
easy.
And it was a teleport
jump a guy
homer.
back
I
there
could
and
do the repair teleport homer too.
You can't do. Just remember, you can't do any of those with Nurglings. Why?
Yeah. Well,
They're
Nurglings
good.
are
They're
just
good,
good to
they're just
slow
not
people
that
down. And they were like an anti. So my other thing is the reason why I'm playing so much Chaos Alpha Legion is for 1 CP you can make I didn't realize it was the entire army. Everything Alpha Legion now has a 12-inch deep strike bubble. So you can spread all this out between the Nurglings and all of the different Alpha Legion units. It's a 12-inch bubble. So all of a sudden you can cover between your forward deployed Nurglings, your Chaos units, your Terminators, anything else you've got out there, this huge bubble to just make deep striking terrible. It's going to at least make them do it in their own zone, which is just going to punish them. And it's only 1 CP, and they have to declare that they're deep striking a unit before you spend the CP. So they say, I'm going to deep strike this. You can go, okay, well, I'm going to spend a CP. It has to be 12 inches. So Chad says, I'm dropping my drop pod. I say, okay, 12 inches for all this stuff. All of a sudden, his drop pod may end up in his own deployment zone because that's a big bubble. So I think it's really good. And then obviously natively -1 to hit is good. And the 1 CP where you can deep strike a unit mid-game, next turn it redeploys. So it's just another way to jump a unit across the board. That's why I'm doing it. So long story short, that's a list. I've got a lot of mobility. I've answered all the questions that I've wanted to answer. Terminators give me that AP3 and that Strength 8 that I feel like I was lacking. If I do encounter vehicles, and the Custodes game, I actually think it'll be they're gonna have to wound on 4s. I accept that, but at least they're dealing flat 2 damage, and he can't ignore the AP, so I put him on 4-ups if I'm shooting as Terminators. So it at least answers a lot of the questions that I haven't been able to answer before. So that's my list this week. Beyond that, my other tech I'm looking into is the Whirlwind Scorpius for Chaos, but 243 points is a lot, so I want to see how bikes feel, and plasma terminators. So let's go ahead and move on to questions because this went a lot longer than we planned.
Yes.
That's okay. Questions of the week. We had a lot this week. I whittled them down to the ones I like the best. We'll start with Tim H from Warhammer 40K. Hey guys, love the show. My question is fairly simple. How did you guys get into the hobby? I hear you guys reference MTG a lot, so I assume you played that before this. They are two different worlds. Thanks, and keep the episodes coming. Well, thanks for that, Tim.
Yeah, thanks for the compliment, man.
Troy?
But yeah, I mean they're kind of two different worlds, but they're both games. So like we were pretty big in Magic, and then
You were the Warhammer guy, right?
Yeah.
Though.
yeah. Well, things changed at our shop, and I don't know, Magic kind of got stale, and they've made some design choices lately that kind of whatever. Anyway, our shop picked it up. They got like a display of, just a little rack of some starter boxes and a couple other things.
The Dark Imperium, right?
And I've wanted to play the game forever. Like, I love the game, but I never had anybody that really played. And it is an expensive hobby. So but I bought a box. It's like, hey, you guys want to play? I got one of the boxes that had 2 armies in it, and I built them up and played with Anvil. And then we got Zach on board, and then Zach mentioned it to you while you were in Indy.
Yeah.
You were instantly on board.
Yeah. I was like, I miss my friends.
Yeah, we were definitely missing Aaron. And then this is kind of snowballed. Like, we built the table in our shop, picked out the Magic guy.
Yeah. Warhammer was one of the reasons why I actually was wanting to move back. Like, I got our friendship back to where I was like hanging out with the guys on a regular basis because I had quit Magic, and this was like a new hobby we could all hang out and do together. It was like way more casual than Magic because we were pretty sweaty Magic players.
It escalated quickly though.
Yeah,
it started with like we each want to start collecting, and we had like these little things. It was
And
like
then Zach had
400
Beyblades.
points. Next thing you know, a couple weeks later, it's like Zach's got 3 Beyblades.
Yeah, I came and watched one game, and next time I showed up, I had 120 cultists, Mortarion, and 3 Plague Burst crawlers. Like,
It definitely got out of control.
Yeah, we went from 0 to 100. It was like, well, we got 500 points. Oh, we only have 4,000 points on.
I looked at the prices of the models, and I was just like, I'm not doing this. Because Troy bought the
Dark Imperium.
Dark Imperium box, but then he had the float drone painted or built.
Little drum was sweet.
And I was like, I looked at the detail in the model. I was like, this model looks so cool. Like, I really want to play with this stuff. And I saw the guard start collecting with the Lehman Russ. I was like, how does that make any damn sense that they're running around with World War II tanks in the space? Like, I got to do it. And Magic at our shop, the climate had shifted away from where I wanted to be. And the game itself was getting pretty expensive. Like, we would play Legacy and stuff, so
Right.
like the one hobby at that expense level is okay. 2 was unattainable, so
Yeah, when one
sold out of Magic, sold a modern deck, put the down payment on my truck, and then I still had room for models.
yeah,
That's how I got into it. Troy with a stupid beat blow drone.
Yeah, if the bullet drum wasn't in the box, Zach wouldn't have been in the game.
And I don't even play Chaos. Like, I was just like, that model is just so neat looking.
Yep. And that's pretty much we all pretty much sold out of Magic. I sold out of Magic, bought a car, but so that freed up my
Your hobby monies.
hobby money. So I was like,
When
all right,
when we first got into Magic, like a new Magic card, brand new off the line, best card out of the set was like $20 maybe.
yeah.
Now they're coming off line 80, 90, $100. It's like, come on, guys.
And these rotating.
Yeah, these are they're not even good for. I don't want to go down there.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to the next question.
Oh, sorry. I was the last one to get into the game. I got in because I saw Bobby G's model and everybody else was playing. I missed my friends, so.
Yeah.
Cal Player 313. He sent a follow-up email from last week. So in the past week, are there any more thoughts on the matter of how many OBSEC units should I take in my army? Is it 100% truly army-based, or should I try just to fit a few in any list I build?
I'm trying to fit I did exactly that this week. I was like, I didn't have a lot of objectives secured. I felt like I was playing the big blob, and I basically chopped it up into as many units as I could squeeze. So I am trying to force it, and I will have a better answer next week.
I think infantry is more important than objective secured, so you can do actions. But I do think I wouldn't bring none.
Yeah.
Like, I would bring some.
I went from 2 to 6 this week.
Well,
So
I played another game versus myself. Guard versus Blood Angel this week. And
We'll get to that.
Well, that's
but it came in. Objective Secured played a huge role in that game because I played a spearhead of guard, so all the Lehman Russes are objective secured. And turns out my Blood Angel list was extremely light on objective secured models. Like I'd have 3 Blade Guard veterans and a captain on an objective, and I could just run a Lehman Russ onto it and steal that objective away, or a squad of guardsmen and steal that objective away. Like, or if there was a point where I had Chimera's Ancient on an objective for Blood Angels, and I just ran a Chimera on there, and now I can test it. So it's super important to have. I don't know what the right number, but you've got to make sure you have 3 is probably not enough.
But like Aaron said, I think infantry is also.
Troy said.
Oh yeah, infantry is important because it's just more bodies.
Yeah.
So like if he had a Chimera, he burns a Chimera on there. But if you have a
Right. If you're
just
not going to play objective secured, you need to have a lot of models.
yeah, just like run 3, whatever you're 3 3 guys on there, and then you just have more bodies than he does. You control it. So
Well,
it's
yeah.
So it's if you don't have a lot of objective secured, or like Zach does, at least have an option to like make stuff objective secured, then just bodies is important.
Yeah, because the only thing that are objective secured are like troops, right? Yeah.
Is true.
So I have 7, not 6.
So the Nurglings are objective
Yeah,
secured,
I have
just
7.
not infantry.
Yeah, 7.
I think the main focus of what he really wants to know is like he wants to know should he just
I think you got to play games. You got to play games.
Don't
because-
overload on it. Like,
Yeah.
Don't make
just
it your
put
primary.
it in.
It's
instead
not
of-
your primary focus, but
Okay.
it is something you want to bring.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll have opinions on how having more objective
And
secured models feels
It
next
also
week.
depends.
You're
on,
welcome to send us your list, and we'll tell you
Yeah.
what you think.
Yeah, I wanna
please
see
send
it.
lists.
So,
I would love
yeah.
to see lists.
But it depends on what your army's doing. If you're like Tau and your plan is you're not gonna go out and contest points, you're gonna try to weaken them down before you move forward. Objective secure is probably a little less
Right.
important.
Like if you're focused on murder, then you don't really need. It doesn't matter how much objective secured is. You just kill everything.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't know. I feel like
Well,
you need some
you'll
just
need
to
some,
stop
I'm
the
saying.
I
bleeding
think-
of
I
early
think-
game
I think
points.
You can lose points that way just from them stealing them from you.
Yes, that's exactly what happened as the Blood Angel player.
Yeah, like like in my AdMech list, very similar. I've been trying to work at eliminating their army, pushing them down, trying to just hold my objective, my deployment zone, and knock them down, and then I can go out and get the objectives. I'm not trying to hold them while they're bringing their units onto it and taking them from me.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of look at what your army is going to be doing. If you're a list that's going to be out and trying to be active in the middle and in their deployment zone, then it's going to be a little more important for you than you would if you're going to be an army that's going to sit back and try to weaken their force before you move forward.
Yeah. All right, we got a lot of questions.
I'm jumping to one because it's relevant. Jace A from Warhammer 40,000. A couple episodes ago, Zach said he played a solo game to practice. How did you find that it helped?
I mean, I feel like it's pretty nerdy and lame to sit in my own garage and just roll dice against myself, but you'd be amazed how often you tilt on yourself. Like, I had an Eradicator squad that rolled 4 damage on 4 wounds. Like, at the same time, like one squad. Like, 4d6 damage equals 4 is awful. And you kind of want to cheat it, and you're like, that's not real life. I should probably re-roll that. But then you just got to play it. You just play it out. It's hard not to start biasing yourself towards one way or the other where you kind of think you should go. You got to really police yourself on that.
When you're one army, you're that army. When you switch back, you're the other army.
Yeah, you got to look at. You got to really, and the game. Luckily, the game's like super deep, and the rules are really. You really got to pay attention. So it's real easy to
switch focus to the other army.
Swap to the other side of the board and not know exactly what what your plan is from the other side. But when you walk over to the other side, there's so many things that you can do that you see differently now. It's actually a lot of work. It's a lot of fun.
Do you find you learned anything from it? How did it help you?
I learned that my Blood Angel list doesn't have enough objectives secured.
And he didn't have to run a group night game to figure that out. So
yeah, it's and Blood Angels. But the way I currently have my Blood Angels list, I don't have enough strength 8. So I'm wounding a lot of tanks on 4s, which is great, I guess. But you're used to wounding on like 3s. So I put a lot of tanks on 2 wounds. I wasn't killing a lot of tanks, so that's why I lost that game. I didn't have enough punch.
But you won the game.
I also
Still lost. Okay, Will D from Warhammer 40,000. Curious, does anyone use natural material for basing objectives, etc.? I think he means like actual like plants and stuff.
I haven't used any natural stuff for anything. I would like to. I've been watching a lot of videos. I saw somebody that used charcoal with like the moon terrain that looked really good. So I'm interested in doing that instead of for the contrast on the gray. I really liked that.
We're have some sandy bases, but
Yeah, I've used. I got the sandy. I just got filler from. I assume it's natural. I don't know. But it looks like sand. And then the stuff I used on my Keeper Secrets is like broken up seashells. You can get that stuff at your hobby stores, like people use them for jars of stuff, I guess, or whatever. You can just grab some of that.
Yeah. And I've been looking.
I've never gone out and just grabbed anything outside. That's what you
Yeah, like
I've been looking for some like sandstone looking rocks, some small ones to put on my Mars bases and paint red so they'll look like Mars. Because I have the crust,
Yeah.
but I want a few rocks. But I want them to be like have that. I don't know. I can't think of the scientific term for the with the layers like sandstone.
Oh yeah.
I want to have that look to them instead of just being like a.
A rock.
this week I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little tray and some dirt, and some sticks, making woods.
There you go.
do. Good.
Kyle C from the Tactical Reserves Facebook page. He says, "Do you feel that Games Workshop's one terrain per 12 by 12 area is sufficient? If not, what is your preference?"
I think that's what we're playing on. I think it's more about what you define the pieces of terrain as than having more terrain.
I think it's very important. We've been talking about this here the last couple of days. You need enough big pieces, and you need to make sure you have enough line of sight blocking. There needs to be lanes of fire that you can avoid or engage in.
Yeah.
What I've listened to a few podcasts this week, and other people are talking about how you should probably be able to hide the majority of your army in your own deployment zone, but it doesn't necessarily have to be like beneficial. Like if you're going to do that, make it so that stuff really far back, so it takes you longer to get out of your own deployment zone. Like there has to be checks and balances.
You can hide it, but you can't hide it on the line.
Like it's got to be worth something. There's got to be weight to it, but. I don't know if we're playing with quite enough in our deployment zones.
Yeah, we usually have like one piece that feels or two pieces.
We have like one really big piece in the middle,
And then two on the edges.
Well, 2 woods.
and then we play with a lot of woods
in a
and
row.
stuff.
So they're like you're not really hidden, but you're -1 to hit, and you got cover.
Right.
So it's.
I think what we're doing is close, but I think you
tweak
want
it.
some bigger pieces in the deployment zone.
Yeah, that's what I watched the Hellstorm guy. I like Mikey, and he did a little RTT, a little small tournament, and he's talked about he thinks you need to adjust terrain per mission. He's saying like you should. He's like because some missions just you're going to need more terrain, but he's like you need to make sure you have enough because otherwise it just becomes a bloodbath in that edition. There needs to be lanes of fire.
Yeah.
That you got to move into to shoot across the board to make you vulnerable, and they have to move out to be, there's going to be these vulnerable areas, and that's going to help with. It makes the game more tactical, not just rolling dice and blowing stuff up.
Yeah. Okay. What do we got next?
Jonathan P. from Warhammer 40K. Any of you guys got DIY tips on carry cases for a lot of minis that won't break the bank? As I'm doing this right now.
This is literally Chad's wheelhouse.
You can get them from Staples, any office supply store, or Amazon. You can get really useful boxes. That's what the name of them are. They're really useful boxes. I like them better than the Sterilite box. Any real plastic tote that has handles on it that are secured handles, you can get pieces of really thin tin from any hardware store for like $8, and they'll cut it for you to the size of the box, and some double-sided tape. and then just get the magnets and magnetize all your minis. And you can go from having one of the giant carry cases with the foam that are very expensive. They're really nice, but they're very expensive. So if you don't want to break the bank, I did this whole project for $85 with the magnets, and
That's pretty good.
And if you want to go,
it's crazy.
you can buy like the neodymium magnets from Amazon, but be careful; those are very strong.
Very strong.
So if you're doing a lot of little models that are like guardsmen, they're not very heavy, and those magnets
It will go together.
they will slap themselves together when you go to put them on the table. So if you want to, there's another option. There's a website called Squad Marks, and basically what they've done is laser cut like refrigerator magnets that will fit in your bases. So they'll stick to a big flat sheet of metal, but they're not strong enough to stick to each other.
That's cool.
So if you want to maybe splurge on something like that, because you can buy big packs of those magnets for cheap.
Like $13 for the magnets.
They're very strong, and I tried this. Originally, what I did for my AdMech, I was going to magnetize them, and I put some with magnets on the base, and they started slapping to each other. You just pick them up and put them down; they would just stick to each other. So what I ended up doing was buying a pack of metal washers, and I glued metal washers under the base and put the magnets on the sheet, and then you just stuck them.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Some of the magnets aren't deep enough. The key is finding the magnets that are deep enough to fit in the base, but not too deep. The washer idea is a good thing. I've had that suggested a bunch, but for transport wise and everything, it's the best thing possible that you can do. It takes a little time and like $100 and a week or two, but it's totally worth it. I'm glad I started down this road because carrying everything is going to be way easier. And like you get bumped in foam, they might explode. Like it'll chip paint when you're sliding out a really well painted model in the foam, but outside of that, it's great. I think it's great.
I know you asked for cheap and easy. I'm still gonna make a point that you should. Your models are expensive. A hobby is time consuming. You have a lot of pride in it. A carry case is just as important as any army, in my opinion. Like instead of a second army, look into a good case. I don't think there's any reason not to protect your models. So
Yeah.
maybe not right off the bat, but always instead of buying that next army, look into buying a good case like battle foam cases.
KR multi-case.
I think the Magnarack stuff from Battle Foam, like if I could go back, like I hate the foam. I'm not gonna lie, I hate foam storage. I think
I hate
the
it too.
future of Warhammer, because the models are so versatile, and if you play multiple armies, you have to have all this different bullshit foam. Magnarack
true.
is a one-time expense that answers all model transport questions when it comes to taking a list. So invest in magnetizing your bases, and if you're going to DIY a Magnarack, do that. But I think magnetized base DIY is the way to do it, not doing cheap foam and trying to cut it yourself.
You
or
can
any of
even
that.
go even cheaper and just buy some like
But I agree with
the nice baking sheets that have the plastic lid. Most models outside of your huge stuff will fit in there with the lid on it because it has like a 3.5-inch gap.
Yeah.
I mean, that's $8, and then you didn't have to even buy the metal or anything. You have the case and everything.
That's a good idea.
Get some zip ties and you're good. But
I just think that if you buy, like, you have to look at spending the right money on the right foam. Like, if you buy battle foam stuff, it's cut to the model specifically.
yes,
And it is
you-
expensive.
It
but
is. It's
nice.
very expensive, but your models don't shift at all, and everybody's got a ton of time in it, and the armies are not cheap. So I understand needing to get something to get you by for a while, but keep that long term. To try to buy something.
Whether it be KR multi-case has options that you can buy. KR multi-case, you can even buy them. They come in cardboard boxes. Now I noticed that battle foam was going to that too. You can buy basically it's a cardboard box and then the foam fits in it. So if you don't want to spend the money on the bag, but I'll tell you what, I think the bag is the best investment.
Well,
to be
a
honest.
lot of the bags, a lot of this is coming from like the thought of going to competitive tournaments
Correct.
and stuff. Having something on wheels is going to be a whole lot nicer than carrying
and
a cookie sheet that's got a lid over it.
the way I measured mine, the 3 tubs I have, they fit perfectly in my roller bag as well.
So if you're like, just have a plan. Like if you're going to go to tournaments, you're going to want something with wheels, in my opinion.
Yeah, and if you're new to the game and you got the Necron stuff, it doesn't play well with any foam. Like I've got all kinds of different sizes. It does not fit in foam. So that's why I'm telling you that is from personal experience. I've broken so many bottles. I cannot even count at this
None
point.
of my models are whole anymore.
Well, that's because you throw them when you get mad.
No. Also, Advent have all the antennas, and just antennas don't.
Yeah.
If you play Imperial Guard, it's super easy. They give you square cuts of foam, and you say you're
taking there,
And
you're good.
you're Zach, you're like, see that bayonet? Fuck that bayonet.
Yeah, flip all the bayonets.
Because they snag foam, they just get bent. He's like, nope, bayonets, out of here.
So Chaos doesn't like foam either.
No,
Spiky
I played
bits
Chaos and
everywhere.
Necrons and Orcs. Orcs don't like foam either.
Spiky bits everywhere.
Speaking of spiky bits,
Yeah, that's
Kyle D from Warhammer 40K asks, "Hey guys, love the pod. This question is for Troy. Bloodthirster or your beloved Demon Prince, and why?"
So, thought about this. The easy answer is just Bloodthirster. Bloodthirster's great. Kills everything. Hard to kill. But there's multiple layers. Like, I mean, it's only 50 more points for a Bloodthirster.
Which is absurd. I
It
don't
is
know why
absurd.
we're having this conversation.
Well,
I thought about it because that was my original thought. But there's reasons to take a Demon Prince.
I don't.
He lets you reroll once.
and psychic powers.
He doesn't have any psychic powers.
He is beloved
Because
by
we're
they
talking
have
about
to
corn.
Oh,
Yeah,
We're talking about corn Demon Prince here. Come on, get on the page. So they're both going to kill whatever they get into, most likely. You give the Demon Prince the relic.
do it cooler though.
Yeah, you give Demon Prince the relic axe, he'll chop up whatever. Yeah.
I missed
Eh,
that axe.
But he
You
like
also-
I've been taking skull cannons lately, so I actually just give him the I guess the crown or what the relic that gives you extra hits on sixes. And I just put him with my skull cannon, so reroll ones. If I'm going up the board and I just want to kill a bunch of shit, I'm gonna take a Bloodthirster. Because I can make it to where it doesn't lose it can't lose more than 8 wounds, so they just literally can't kill it in the face. And then I'll just, it's got 3 up save. You give it the 4 up invulnerable relic, whatever. If you take a couple, you can split it. And they will murder a ton of stuff. But the Demon Prince, you can't shoot him. He's only got 9 wounds. So you just hide him in the back, and you can do the slow crawl up, where he can give you your bloodletters, reroll ones, your juggernauts, whatever you want to put them with, and you can make another unit stronger. So it just kind of depends on what you want them for. If you want to kill stuff, take a Bloodthirster.
Bloodthirster,
Okay, wait.
And Bloodthirster's a cooler model, by far.
creature
You're
caster, Bloodthirster.
playing corn, and you have the option to run up the board and murder something, or sit behind some skull cannons and give some reroll ones.
But
Which one of these sounds more cool?
here's the trick. You could put the Demon Prince with the Bloodthirster, and then he would reroll once.
Well, he says either or. He never asks.
Yeah.
both.
That's the trick. You take both.
Both is the option.
Both is the option.
Clearly, that's
But also, creature caster
Oh yeah,
Bloodthirsters are
their stuff's insane.
sweet.
And the regular Bloodthirster model is not bad at all. It's
so
great.
Bloodthirster
If-
over Demon Prince.
It's definitely
If
the
you
cooler
have
option.
to pick one, Zach,
It's 100%
Zach-
Campbell,
Bloodthirster.
Brinks.
Demon Prince.
Yeah, Demon
I
Prince.
I
Demon
like
Prince will
bubbles.
kill just as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you give him that legendary axe,
You also die super hard.
Bloodthirster sounds cooler than Demon Prince.
All right.
They have
Demon
the
Prince
same
answers so many
saves.
more
Troy,
questions.
Troy, put him in the ring, 1-on-1.
They have the same saves.
Put him in the ring, 1-on-1. Fight
The
each
only
other.
difference is the Bloodthirster has more wounds and 1 more toughness.
Well, it sounds like
Sounds like he's better.
It just depends on who goes first, because they will
Okay.
kill each other. Like,
he can only take 8 wounds.
You can't kill Bloodthirster.
oh well, if you exalt him,
Yeah.
Oh, hey, there we go. All right.
Well, technically.
Joseph T.
technically.
Joseph T. from Warhammer 40K says, looking into getting into GSC or Orcs. Any suggestions? GSCs.
I want to say, here's what I want to say. Unless you have like a bazillion dollars to spend, get into Gene Stealer Cult.
Don't get neither.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, those are both expensive armies. But Gene Stealer Cult, you can kit bash off of other players' guardsmen. You can use kit bash
I think if
tanks.
you go cult, you definitely want some guardsmen. Like mortars are still really good.
Yeah, orcs are kind of right now. First off, they're a one-trick pony in the metagame, and they're just these vehicles that once it adjusts, it can very easily answer the
And
list.
this isn't the Orcs he wants. He wants.
And he wants it. Okay, I bought that army. It is expensive to go down the orc road. You need so many models.
You gotta want it.
And
Yeah.
and the problem is that list isn't great right now.
No, it's bad. It's bad.
It sucks. I mean, it's a sweet list.
5-point grots.
Yeah, like they
Yeah,
really
the grot pain.
I would say either way, if you've got an army right now and you can play the game, wait till the Codex comes out. If you're wanting to get into the game, you don't have an army yet, sure, pick one. They're both good.
He's in the game. This isn't for a second army.
Then I would wait
For
till
me,
the Codex comes
if
out
it's
because
just
they're
for,
both in a bad
if
spot.
it's just for giggles, orcs is sweet.
This is where I'm going.
but
They have
here's the
better
question.
names and
If
they
you-
look cooler.
If you already wanted to go orcs, you already know, you feel it deep down inside. If you got to ask the question,
If
you're not
walking
that
around
into
going,
orcs.
"Wah," or whatever, get orcs.
Yeah, but if you're asking this
you're on the
question,
fence,
yeah. It's trust me, they're not as cool as you
Ridge-
think.
Ridge
Like,
Run-
wait till the Codex comes
Ridge
out.
runners and stuff, like whatever. You get ATVs, but nothing can beat like the sweet orc jets and the
a Wazboom blast jet,
I know. It's great.
or a Boom Duck a Snaz wagon.
Yeah, that's great.
Boom, Dr. Spaz.
I mean,
That's a real thing. The
There's
shock
such-
jump dragster.
They went on principle because they have better names.
No. But seriously, you should probably go Gene Stealer Cult because you can also go Nids. That gives you a third army. To pivot
Yeah, it
into.
gives you like 3 armies if you go cult.
Every tier list I've seen has had Gene Stealer Cult at the bottom, so I don't want
That's
to.
what I'm
I
saying.
don't want to
Either way,
suggest anybody.
either way, I would wait till you get a Codex.
yeah, because the issue with Gene Stealer Cult, they had a gimmick, but not everybody can do that gimmick. So
Like, if you're not looking for something specifically,
Just-
I'd probably just wait on either of those.
Okay.
To be honest.
Yeah, when the Codex comes out, the different units are going to be good. But all the armies are going to flip as soon as they get a Codex, and you won't know what's good until then. So I would just wait.
but if you,
And
like I
find
said, if you just want one for giggles, though, orcs.
Yeah, it definitely works. They're great.
All right. Kayvon K via email. He has a few. Short
Another
questions.
multi question.
Yeah, another multi.
Look at
question. In a small, I'll skip around because I know which ones I want to do. In a small group of dedicated players, is it appropriate or faux pas for more than one player to dedicate themselves to a specific faction? For example, 2 people playing Raven Guard.
Play what you like, but don't play something because you think it's just because you got beat by that thing,
No,
right?
He's just saying factions. Like so,
I think
if-
you play it if you like it.
If
you
somebody
like it.
is the chaos player in your
Yeah. You can still play Chaos.
I mean, Chaos is
That's
a wide
huge.
faction.
Yeah.
Raven Guard to Raven Guard is a little.
Yeah, you could just pick a different squad of Marines.
Yeah.
Like, really.
Agreed.
Like I would say, if
Is
one
it-
person's in your play groups playing Raven Guard, you probably shouldn't.
You shouldn't buy Raven Guard.
But if it's a new player to your group, you shouldn't shit on them
No,
for wanting
no,
to play
let them
your
play
thing.
whatever they
If they
want.
show up with a Raven Guard shirt and they love Raven Guard, whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
or if like say you're an established group and you're playing in a shop or whatever, and somebody comes up and they see your army and they start asking questions and they really dig it and they want to get into it as a start, like that's one thing.
Yeah.
But like
Get people into the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the primary goal is to get more people playing Warhammer.
But like when I started, I chose Ultramarines because nobody was playing Ultramarines. I mean, Bobby G was awesome, but that was really the fence. It was between Eldar, which somebody was already playing, Space Wolves, which somebody was already playing, or Ultramarines, which nobody was playing. So that's what
I
I
still
did.
think Space.
Those schools are holistic, but
So, but like
Well,
I started off like
on the
with
flip side, like if we're talking about competitively, a lot of us just want to take. If we're talking about going to tournaments, we're going to take the best list.
exactly.
So
That's why you can't get
yeah,
too
you need-
frustrated because it's not like if you're both playing the list, you can borrow the other dude's models. So
Just like,
you
yes,
gotta
playing
own
the
it.
mirror is cool, but it's less relevant.
But you also got to learn it.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't get upset, but try to keep a varied group.
Yeah.
Because the lists are constantly shifting, the meta's constantly shifting, and you're going to need players that know their factions inside and out, not just people that picked it up and are like, how do Ultramarines fall back?
Yeah. so my thing is like me and Troy are both in chaos, and since we started playing, we were both in chaos. I've done my best to try to not
Do the
step on
same
his
thing.
chaos toes too much, but like for a long time, Thousand Suns were just so good. There was no way for both of
You
us
guys
to
play
not
different
play chaos.
flavors of chaos, though.
We do.
You shoot a bunch of stuff. Troy wants to melee the shit out of stuff.
I'm also-
Magnus and Mortarion are over here chilling, and you're like, look at
I
these
don't
blades.
play them.
Yeah.
At all. I mostly just play demons.
Yeah,
Like-
Troy's more Demons Death
Yeah.
Guard. Aaron sticks to more Alpha Legion, Chaos Space Marine
Yeah.
shooting. So
Yeah, I don't think you can do like Imperium Chaos or Xenos
Yeah,
or anything
there's
like that.
no, but like taking the same chapter as Space Marines.
Yeah,
If
there's
you're
plenty,
practicing for a tournament, sure, and you think they're the best, that's fine.
there's plenty of space.
But there's no
Marines.
reason for
Choose a
you.
different
You guys are just a small group of guys that play all the time. There's no reason to be the same chapter.
And-
I have
and-
Ultramarines. Somebody
and
else
let's-
isn't going to come in and
and-
play Ultramarines.
and let's
White Scars,
be
bro.
honest,
Come on.
the best thing to do is just paint your Space Marines to a
Yeah, then you
Custom-
just pick.
custom chapter. Paint them, you
Yeah.
know, lime green. and be like,
Oh
be
god.
like, these are my faction, these are my custom chapter, and you can display them whatever you want.
Yeah, spoilers, salamanders right now.
Well, I picked Death Watch, so they're kind of
Yeah.
But
All right, what?
In your opinion, is there a limit on how far a player can kit bash and/or convert a model to resemble or stand in for another model?
In casual play, no.
In casual play, no, because I played with pieces of cardboard. But
Oh, that's not kit bashing. That's just being.
Yeah, that's a
That's
piece of
just being
cardboard.
cool,
That is,
No,
I think as long as your base size is the same and
Yeah.
the height and width is
close.
very close, I think you're fine.
yeah.
As long as
Even in
everybody
tournaments.
understands what it is.
yeah,
Like,
just say before in tournaments it gets a little tricky. You need to get it approved.
Yeah,
GW
but-
tournaments they won't let you play with non-GW models.
That's
It's
true.
like-
Which
But
is
yeah, but
things like
kit bash is different than non-DGW.
I agree,
But as long from what I've talked to a few tournament organizers, as long as it's like Zach said, on the same base and same general height and size, you're not getting any advantage.
like my Inceptors with the SMO,
Yeah,
No,
they're same height,
fun.
base size the
base
same.
size is close to the same. You know,
And that's almost the exact same. It's the
that's
same
just a
model.
little
You just change
flavor
the
added
base,
to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like, there's probably a limit
there has to be
But-
somewhere. But
for the most part. Like casual play is
Yeah, if you're going to tournaments, like you should probably try not to get
check
too
with the
insanely.
TO and see what they say.
don't bring a
The models-
space marine and say it's a great unclean one. That's not gonna work.
No,
Don't play Necrons as Terminators.
the thing should resemble what it should be.
And be clearly defined. Like it should be clearly discernible from other models. This is what it is.
All right.
in a metagame that on the surface favors ranged tactics, e.g., eradicators, what strategies and tactics can non-shooty or melee-oriented lists use to be competitive?
I mean, it's things like if you're talking orcs, the jumping, any
Speed.
movement,
Speed's
yeah,
what you
speed
do.
or movement tricks. Like if you're just like transports, which we discussed last week, obviously can be good. Any sort of things that let you just break the rules of the game, like the jump,
Any
or
kind
just
of-
deep striking units. Just bring it in on turn 2. You just cannot. Your plan needs to be not walk across the board. As long as it's not walk across the board, you should be
Unless
okay.
you're like Death Guard or like if you can take the firepower,
Custodes.
like that's fine. But there aren't a lot of armies that can do that.
Yeah,
Like melee, non-shooting, I guess, like just melee, I guess, or heavy psychers maybe. You want to use your cover. You gotta use your line of sight blockers. You gotta get there without getting shot. You gotta be fast about it. But mostly, I wouldn't play a melee army. When melee army, you want to control the board. You don't necessarily want to try and attack their whole army.
you want them to have to come to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want
So you want to
to
get the points as early as you can because melee armies generally won't be a lot of them left on turn 5.
But if your plan is to go offensive, it really needs to involve not foot slogging outside of
That's
the
fine.
most durable units.
We look at Troy's Drakari list. Now,
Not really.
well, he's not melee, but he used Venoms to put troops in and skitter them around the board and just rack up secondary points.
Yeah, well, I mean, we know transports are
Yeah, transport.
amazing, right?
But,
Transport is an easy way.
but you can do that in like a melee army, same thing.
Yeah,
you know.
you could do the Zac tactic, fill a Rhino with corn berserkers,
Yeah, rhinos are still good.
and then with a Rhino, I was trying to squeeze a Rhino too,
But you use
Can't do it.
avoid the units they have that answer your questions. So like if you're going to be like, I got this melee unit, I need to get it in your objective. Don't run straight at their eradicators. They got 24-inch range. Avoid them. So use your cover. Move quickly. Avoid.
Which is
The
why
death ball.
it's important, like we talked about, you need to have line of sight blocking terrain in like pretty much the whole table. It needs to be there.
yeah.
Otherwise, the shooting army is just way too favored.
All right.
Our
What
last question this week from the Tactical Reserves Facebook page. Leighton V. Sunshine asks, now that we better understand how secondaries feel, how important is it for you guys to make sure you don't have auto-take secondary choices for your opponent? Episode 10, you guys mentioned that being able to take 2 secondaries makes your army feel better. Does the same rule apply to make sure you're not giving up free secondaries? For example, not enough monsters vehicles in your list for an opponent to maximize bring it down.
I think those are very important. You should be building your list to not give away secondaries. And if you are building your list and you know you're giving away secondaries, you have to make it up somewhere else.
Yep, I agree. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the best answer. If you're doing something absurdly powerful, like he's referring to, which is Magnus Morty and stuff like that, there's no way to not do it. So
Or-
you just need to be
Or
doing
like Zach's
Or guard.
or his
Like, you're
tanks.
giving up, bring it down.
Yeah, but you're answering with a
The-
obscene
the
amount of firepower. So I think that's a
NCA
quick,
model,
easy
like-
answer.
Like, it's just, I actually wouldn't worry about it that much. Like, I wouldn't take a tank, just take a tank if it's bad. But I would.
Well, that you're not maximizing it then.
I think the biggest one is be conscious of characters. If
Right.
you're not playing
Characters is
super
the tricky
strong
one.
characters,
But characters is an easy one already. Like, a lot of people aren't taking a lot of attacks.
Don't take psychers for no reason.
Yeah.
That's the one trick. Like, if you're taking 1 or 2 psychers, maybe think about not. Like, how good are they really to your army?
well, because then you're giving up. You can't
Exactly.
abhor the
Can't
witch,
abhor
but
the
if they
witch.
abhor the witch and you're only taking 2 psychers,
No,
best
it's
case.
more the fact that you can't.
Yeah,
That you don't get it.
Yeah.
The fact that you can't do it and you come up against the Magnus Training list or the
that's
secondary, you want to have access to that. So if you have a powerful psyker, sure. If he's really powerful and it's key to your army, gives you a lot of buffs. But if you're just getting like -1 to hit out of it, or
I think
it's like, is it really worth it to give up that possible 15 easy secondary?
I think it's still more important to know that you can do 2 rather than worry about what they can do.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
For
Do
sure.
But
answer
he's
your.
more asking about building his own list, giving away
Yeah.
points.
He doesn't want to give. You don't want to give away stuff.
if-
If you can avoid giving it away,
But
don't.
if that's the crux of what, like guard, I think.
You have to give it
You're
up.
giving
Well,
it
yeah,
a-
like there's an army, but I don't think there's a build that doesn't take a bunch of vehicles.
Yeah,
in guard.
that's what I'm saying.
Well,
You,
if you
have
don't, if you don't take a bunch of vehicles, you have to take a bunch of guardsmen,
And
and then you're giving away
the ranks.
then the
Yeah.
ranks. Like,
So you might as well just take the most powerful version. So there's going to be lists that just have to bleed some secondaries.
Yeah, a lot of armies just can't not give up, bring them down.
But if you can avoid it,
Add,
do it.
add most of my units are just vehicles. That's just the way they're.
Like,
They
a
have
lot
that keyword, so-
besides Marines and even submarines list, you're probably going to be giving up, bring them down.
yeah. There you go. I mean, that's the. We'll go ahead. Now it's time for our main topic. I know
We've gone pretty long. Huh?
we have gone very long, and we're just now in the main
There'll be
topic.
some chopping up.
There's no chopping.
No chopping.
No
Let's
chopping.
Just do it quick. Target priority. Kill the things that.
Well,
Yeah, we kind of already talked about it when we talked about Chad's game, which is where the idea came from.
But deployment we want to talk about deployment and target priority. So this is back to like the way 8th edition started, where you alternate deployment and then you roll off, but there's no C's this time. You have to be able. Zach mentioned earlier. You have to be able to hide, if not your whole army, at least the important things in your army, in your deployment zone before it starts. And deploy and assume that you're going to go second, but still have a plan on what happens if you go first. Because if you deploy like you're going to go first, and then you're like, I'm going to put this out here, I'm going to go first, and you lose the die roll, your best offense, what your plan is for your army is going to get taken away from you.
I think that can be different though in some armies, like like Brinks' army and my army. I can use deployment as a strategy. I'm like, well, these 3 things are going here, and they're going to deploy around this being, well, I'm going to go after that if I go first or whatever. Then I can just redeploy those 3 guys.
yeah.
if I lose the die roll.
But that's the way deployment works anyway, is that's your strategy. Like, alternating deployment means that you can try and dictate the way
Well,
your
he's just
opponent.
saying-
I know you have the trick to do it, but even if you don't, you still need to use your models to try and
Yeah, you want to
Help,
make them deploy in a way.
every
that
model you
benefits
put down and the order you put it down can affect the way your opponent.
That's what I'm
does.
saying. Like,
So
But no, not
Yeah, but you're saying you've got a trick to cheat it, which is fine.
no, I'm saying I deploy as if, like, if I'm going turn 1, this is what I'm doing. And they're going to build around, like, well, I'm going to stop this, but now I'm not going first.
So
And
you
the
have a
rest of my
trick.
deployment was set up, and I can just move these
But-
guys.
but
yeah, that's a trick.
That's
But that's
what
the
I'm
trick.
saying.
No
That's
one,
a trick.
not everyone can do that. This is a.
But you still need to do that with your deployment. Like, you need to, like, because say I put a tank down. Obviously, they might put their anti-tank down, and well, then I can kind of like switch my. Like, if you're going for a castle build or anything like that, you can kind of dictate where your opponent is putting stuff. Now, a lot of people do have the redeploy option, which kind of tricks things and changes things, but you need to. That's where you kind of need to learn every army. Like, you need to know if they have that ability. If you're playing casually or testing or anything like that, tell each other that you have that ability. 'cause
Yeah.
that
You
is-
should tell each
that is-
other all of your tricks at the start of the. I try
Yeah, if
to
you're
say
testing
these are
like
the
that,
things I can do.
Like, big things like that, that's something we should tell each other.
Well, you should, even in a tournament, just it's not supposed to be gotcha.
If it's a tournament,
You have the list.
fuck 'em.
Well, but the idea is like if they ask you, like, hey, can you redeploy that? Yeah, I can redeploy that.
So I do have something to say about this when we were discussing objective secured models earlier. this kind of goes back into that. Having some like trash, like minimum sized units of troops, and just being able to deploy kind of trash models early that are your low impact units to see if you can. So like that was another thing with having so many units in that new chaos list is now I can deploy all the Nurglings, all the Marines, and I can see where my opponent puts his high value units before I even try to deploy my Terminators and stuff like that. So I think there's some validity to having some low impact units like Scarabs and Necrons are really cheap. They're 39 points. You can play that. That is, if you play 3 of those units, that's 3 deployments you're up on your opponent, just to hopefully see if they play something to where you're like, that's what I want to kill, and you go and move everything there. If you don't have redeploy shenanigans, which Necrons have that too. So
I think a lot of armies have that nowadays.
But I think you have to have a plan for going first and second when you deploy. You can't just be like, I'm going first.
I think you deploy as you go as if you're going second. Yeah, you always deploy as if you're going second.
I think there are some armies or even units where you have to be like, I have to have this at least this far forward. So if I do go first, I can get to this. I have to get to this benchmark on the table. Like Chad's Outriders. You don't want to deploy them all the way in the back. You want them to be.
No, but you don't care about them. You're not going to park your Eradicators on the front line.
No. But I'm just saying there are some units in your army where you're like,
yeah, those to me are throwaway units.
I have to be this far to get to this. I want to try to deny this part of the board.
I think Eradicators are the key one because they don't actually move that far, but they can advance. So I'm still trying to hide it.
But you have to have a plan for going first and second, and you have to look at your terrain because you're not going to be able to hide all your units.
Yeah.
So you have to be like, okay, these are the units that have to get hidden, so they have to go in these positions, and then so this is my plan for deployment. Going, I'm going to put my Eradicators here. So I can't. I'm going to deploy this unit over here, but I know this has to go. You have to have a plan in your head. What order they're going to go down, but you got to have like, I know this unit's going. This Eradicator's going here. Eradicators are going there.
But don't be afraid to if they deploy and they skew to one side to change your plan either. You know what I mean?
You need to be, and don't be afraid to pre-measure stuff.
Oh yeah, measure deep strikes. Make sure you're blocking out deep strikes.
Measure deep strikes. Measure the range. Like Eradicator's 24-inch range. If you stay 30 inches, 36 inches away.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about them.
You're good. And if you go first, you're going to close some of that distance and maybe still be able to answer them. So
35. 35 would be the max they can reach.
I mean, if they want to advance 6 inches.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, but that is with their advance. 30. If you stay 30, so 36 inches away, they can't touch you.
As long as they have to advance, I think you're fine with it.
Yeah,
exactly.
But yeah, deployment. I think I very much. I like volume of units if you can afford it. Obviously, you can't afford it.
Right.
And if there is I'm legit. I have a unit of Zangors, Scarab Terminators, and 2 HQs, and I'm still taking Duplicitous Tactician just so that I can maybe redeploy those Terminators and not have to move them on the first turn so that they can shoot and shoot again. So redeploy shenanigans are good. So you should value those very highly if it's in a Warlord trait. Because getting tricksy, especially if you have more than one high value unit in your army, you can really pull some tricks off. So that's what I have to say about it. I don't know. Target priority.
That's just learning the game.
Yeah, I feel like Chad is one of those players that he hasn't played enough games.
So there's a big enough, it's a pretty big term in just Warhammer in general to have it's called distraction card effects. Bring something that you want your opponent to shoot at. You want to attract their attention that direction.
Ooh, shiny.
Well, it's big, big and scary
and
looking.
Chad falls for it every time. A lot of people do because it's pretty good strategy. Usually, in card effects, you can't leave it alone. When it gets there, it will.
Yeah, it does things.
But it's slow. And the Helldrake is different. It's actually pretty fast, but it's not super killy.
Yeah, it's only 6. It's got 6 best case scenario.
The trick is with it, you can tie up a lot of things, but Chad's army can't be tied up. So
yeah, it was especially bad versus him.
So yeah, and a lot of times, both those scenarios, you can bracket them, and they move a lot less, and then you don't have to worry about it as much.
Just knowing what your army
on the table. Everyone brings the Dreadnought. It is powerful, but really the secret is the Eradicators are actually the problem.
Yeah.
But the Dreadnought is still something you have to worry about.
but not right now. It gets 4 shots.
It's
Actually, it's probably priority number 1 if you deploy correctly.
Yeah.
Because it's got a 48
It does have longer range.
They have a 24.
So maybe the Eradicators are the kind. Like, it's just, you got to visualize. And a lot of that is just game knowledge. You need to know what your
It changes every game. You can't just go into a game knowing I'm going to kill that.
No, but you have to look at, when you look at the board, you got to be like, what is his path, your opponent's, not his, but your opponent's path to victory.
And I think
usually the biggest model, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the two topics go together, especially with your deploy shenanigans.
Well, you got
to pick out the unit that beats you.
Like, even if, like, say I set up like I'm going second, and then they, screen something on the other side, and now I'm going first. Still might pay that 2 CP. I'm just going to redeploy over here and just go kill that instead.
Like what I just said. Against Anvil's list, he has 9 Eradicators and a Dreadnought with 48-inch range last game. I'm scared shitless of the Eradicators. But if the deployment map is long enough where they can't shoot me for a turn, I 100% am going after that Dreadnought.
Technically, the Eradicators are more scary, but not on turn 1.
Not on turn 1.
Whatever is most threatening to you right now is
every turn you need to just take a minute. And I mean, I know a lot of games are chess clockwise, but you should take.
Well, not while we're learning though. So
and chess clock goes back and forth. So when your opponent, you need the whole time you need to be thinking, and you've got time to think while your opponent's. It takes a while to move your army.
Yeah.
And analyze. Talk to the guy if you need to. Figure out what's going on.
Yeah, but
you also have to look at things like he's got his set of scouts over here. He's leaning really hard on those for his engage.
Right.
Then you need to prioritize that. There's a lot of things you have to look at.
We used to play, we had a question earlier about when you started in Magic.
Mm-hmm.
You always had to you always were thinking about what could be in his hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
What could be in his hand is, I think, in the way a 40 can is, what can he do? What is my opponent's path to victory? Like, what unit what is he leaning on this turn, or what trick does he have that's gonna score him points?
Unlike Magic, it's all out there. They can't hide it from you.
Yeah, it's out there. It's in the open. So you're looking and you're like, what is going to either impair me from scoring points or enable him scoring points? And you have to take steps. It might be 2 turns from now. You're like, he's going to try to get this unit over on that objective. So you start moving a unit towards that objective to shoot that unit when it comes into the open. You know?
The game's a lot like chess. You need to plan ahead.
Yeah,
what your opponent's going to do.
And there are certain sacrifices. So, like, during the game we played, right? Your most threatening model, for sure, that whole game was the Thunderfire Cannon.
Yeah.
But I ignored it the entire game.
Well,
because the cost of me trying to get to that Thunderfire Cannon and answer that question was going to be far greater than the damage it can do over the course of the game. So just because something is giving you the most trouble, you have to also, because like if I put something over there early, Bobby G's right there, and Eradicators are right there. Like there's a huge opportunity cost. Whatever I put over there, I'm putting over there to die. Whereas what I did is I put something over there at the end of the game, and there's nothing left to do enough to them. So you don't target priority. Like target priority is where I feel like I excel at the game, and that's why I feel like I've gotten victories in the game. Because it's like I'm not as good with the tricks and the crisp play. Like I feel like, especially Zach and Troy, far above. Like they have like the most consistently like clean gameplay to where they do moves that I didn't even see coming. But I lean heavily on knowing what beats me and what things I can ignore for the right amount of time, and that makes a big difference in the victory in games. So just because like the Thunderfire Cannon's wrecking you doesn't mean run through Bobby G to take it. So you gotta understand things like that. It's like Zach said with the Eradicators; those are going to cause damage, but they're 24-inch range with a 5-inch move.
You have to assess the threat, but also when the threat is going to happen. So, like you said, Eradicators are a threat, but they're not a threat this turn.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I have a plan on dealing with them next turn.
Yeah, and it's like...
Well, even in that specific game, like, I didn't shoot at the Dreadnought because I couldn't see it, so I shot at Eradicators first turn. And then he kept his Dreadnought, which was killing a tank a turn the entire game, and I never shot at it because I was trying to kill aggressors and intercessors that were trying to hold objectives because I needed to score points. He Yeah, I'm going to lose a tank a turn. That sucks. It feels bad, but I'm not going to win the game unless I kill you off these objectives.
Yes, exactly. Well, and it's like I've played many a game versus like a Baneblade, right? And
I have spent a lot of games running from that thing.
yeah, I just don't kill it. Like I just ignore it unless I have nothing else to shoot at because it's so tough. It's got so many wounds, and usually I don't play models
And
that.
if you're playing Chaos, you can't get in melee with it.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like
You just got Marines riding around.
So you just let this Baneblade drive around and just it's gonna kill stuff, but you gotta the cost of trying to kill that means that like yeah you kill 500 points, but that 500 points of killing is like 1,300 points of guard you could have killed instead. And honestly, the value of
So
tank commanders are insane.
objectives are huge. Like primary objectives are how you generally are going to win the game. If you take 15, your opponent gets 5, you probably won the game. Like yeah, there's secondaries, but primaries are big, so that should be your focus.
I think bigger than scoring 15 is trying to make your opponent score 5.
Yeah,
Just 4-0.
Yeah,
if
5
you take them off
taking
objective,
them like it's not that you need to get more, but if you can like indirect fire
Yeah,
and wipe them off a couple objectives and they score 0 or 5 for a turn, like if you just score your 10, like the 2 that are near you,
and it makes players make bad decisions when you start
well, they
when
got
you
to
put them on
backtrack.
tilt.
They got to backfill. If you can shoot them off their back objectives, like Zach talked about in Custodians before, they have to go backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it seems valid.
so objectives are more important than killing anything, really.
Yeah, it's
Obviously killing stuff off objectives is huge.
it's just every turn you need to end your movement, or even on their turn, you okay, next turn, this has to move here. This is what gets shot first.
Try to think about where they're going to move.
Yeah.
Because I always think about like, well, he's going to move that over there, and then it's going to be to the right, and then he's going to how far can that, like Troy had a Ravager, how far can the Ravager come out? So then what can he see?
yeah,
One of the biggest secrets of Warhammer is that movement is the biggest part of the game.
yeah.
It's the most important.
I would agree.
So
Because everything else is dice rolling.
I try to visualize. Okay, his Ravager can move 14 inches. Now, what's the arc look like that it can shoot? So where do I need to be to avoid that arc of fire if
Right.
I've got something that I don't want the Ravager to shoot at?
yeah. And what's the opportunity cost for avoiding that versus just tanking that
Yeah.
and setting yourself up to be able to answer that Ravager next turn? Like, there's a lot of
Yeah,
different
I'm
ways.
not going to worry about this, but that's the threat. So we should probably take care of that because I can't
Or
live
just
through
avoid it.
that.
Yeah, like everything has like when I start my turn, I view like I see the whole board as like a points value on like where am I willing to sacrifice for 2 turns, right? Because like chess, you have to make a sacrifice to be able to answer questions. Like I've got to have something for you to move your eradicators up to shoot at in order to shoot at your eradicators. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you're like if there's nothing good for them to shoot at, why would you put them out in the middle of the field just to die? So that's one of those big things is
Something
like
you'll just get better with over time, I guess.
yeah,
It's just
and
big frustration.
A big part of the game is just learning what other people can do.
yeah,
And what's good against you?
Yeah.
Look at it and be like, well, that's a really good unit,
Like-
but it's not good against me here. Like playing against Troy with the Talos, they were good, but they weren't as like they destroy my admin.
That was
They'd
the worst.
shoot-
That was the worst match for them in a long
But against
time.
Marines, it was like, oh well, they're good, but they're not
Like-
groundbreaking.
Against 25 wounds of Marines. There's a difference.
Coming from the Magic world, it was easy to target prioritize because like
even the
the
same
formats
thing's there. If somebody plays a card you don't know about, you're screwed.
the problem is the formats a lot of times that I was playing were smaller, and I knew all the cards that could possibly be in the formats and all the competitive decks. And testing in Warhammer, it's just there's so many things, and there's no way you can memorize every stratagem every army has.
I mean, if you actually break down
It's
every
probably
single
less than-
it's less than Magic. If you break down every stratagem and every book,
'Cause,
right?
most of them are the same.
Yeah, and
They're
in
just-
data
yeah.
sheets, if you break down data sheets,
I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, but if you think about the raw information, like all the cards in Legacy, like I could show you a picture of a card, you'd know it in like
Yeah.
1 second with a picture.
With the pictures.
I could probably give you a mana cost, and you can give me the top 3 cards in Legacy with that mana cost.
Probably.
So yeah, you could learn it all. You just haven't yet.
Yeah. We played Magic for a lot longer. So
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
It's
But-
20 years compared to 2, so
I like the idea of target priority being a high a point
No, it's
to
definitely
you should know it.
important.
And yeah, it should start with what is the thing that's going to beat me. And then you go, okay, then you have to go through these like channels though, is it going to beat me now? what is the thing that's beating me right now? And that's where things like
Why
scouts.
Why is it beating me? It's beating
Yeah.
me because it's going to kill my stuff and knock me off of objectives. It's holding their objectives.
And there's a flip side to that. It's just when you're building your list, you got to think, what do I want my opponent to think is the most important thing versus what is the most important thing.
Yeah, because you want your opponent to take the worst shots possible.
Right.
Like, you want them to have the lowest impact each turn
So-
as you can.
So say you bring the Leviathan and the Eradicators. Yeah, the Leviathan's scary, but it's TA with a 4 invulnerable. You want them to shoot that.
Yeah, please come shoot.
Yes,
this.
that's
Like,
where you want. Yes,
yeah.
it will die, probably, but that's just the way the game, like, everything's going
But
to
they
die.
all that firepower that it's
Yeah,
going to take
it
to kill
can
that.
take a whole army 2 turns to kill one of those
Yeah,
things.
it's like Mortarion. A lot of times Troy took Mortarion, he would die.
Yeah,
but he tanked.
I'm never into the game. With
But he
Mortarion.
tanked, at least 1 turn of shooting probably with a whole army.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
He could on a decent roll tank a turn of guard, which is
Okay.
insane.
But it's such a threat.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point.
But you
But
Is
so
it
is
the
also
threat?
so is Magnus, who dies much quicker.
If you go first, like once
Magnus is Voltron.
yeah, once he's psychicked up.
but so the thing was he is a threat, but that also allowed Troy's list to have
He creates so much space.
1,500 points that were just unmolested for a turn.
Yeah. It's like Zach's Baneblade. Like, it's a huge threat, but
The other,
it's gonna live
the
because
other
if you all the
force
time
of his army is just
bigger,
around or
it's a
whatever.
bigger threat. So that's why for me, I just ignored the Baneblade. I was like, I'm gonna kill all of his troops.
The
Like,
tank commanders are the secret. They're the power.
yeah,
They hit on.
they've gotten way better since those games.
Pass
Yeah.
used to be a problem.
Yeah.
Well, he still is. He's just Katie is not as good as he used to be.
Yeah.
So I think the question this week should be, what is your favorite distraction Carnifex? Like, what is the model what's your bait?
The old one eye.
Yeah, like what is the model that you play that you consistently want people to shoot at that they think is good to shoot
or
at?
that you get suckered into.
Some
Yeah.
people, some people know it's not good to shoot at it, but like you said, Mortarion, you still have to kill him.
Yeah, it's bad to shoot at. Like, what's your favorite distraction Carnifex in your list? Especially in 9th edition, I would like to hear that. I guess we'll go ahead and go to socials.
Yeah.
Zach,
Mr. Fingerguns on Twitter.
Troy,
Viking Hard on Twitter.
Anvil,
At Evilbeard on Twitter.
Chad,
At Chad B. McKenzie on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, everything.
LLBR1NXLL on Twitter and BR1NXL on Twitch. Those are my main ones. We've got a tactical reserves at gmail.com. We have a Facebook page, Tactical Reserves.
And
And
the Twitter is tactical reserve because
No S.
Twitter's stupid because you don't have 15 characters. And the YouTube page is up. Start looking for videos. We're gonna have up sometime within the next month.
No, 2 months probably.
We're
There's
gonna
be a lot.
We gotta paint the armies, paint
Well, maybe
the
not battle
terrain.
reports. Maybe we'll put something up.
we might
Yeah,
start.
we could
might
do some
start putting up-
videos.
You might
Yeah,
start
we
looking
could
up,
videotape the podcast.
Yeah, might start looking up videos of the pods, even
Could
if it
just be us
isn't
saying
just
hi,
us
whatever.
in a room. You know,
that has to be the first video. We all just hi,
Yeah,
and then that's the
they're
video.
gonna get posted on YouTube as well as on the site and Facebook.
Yeah,
So
those
we'll
links
find
are
us
all
more
in the
places.
description too. I put all the links in the description every week. We also had some people join the Discord. There's a whole set of channels now that says Tactical Reserves. So if you only care about Tactical Reserves, you can jump in there. It's got one for hobbying, one for deck lists or
On
tournament
this.
lists.
Let's check that shit out.
And so it's just in the Discord. I put it in its own section. So if that's the only thing you care about, you can mute the whole rest of it and just be able to hang out in there and share and talk about
To the Discord is
Warhammer.
on the pod.
The
and
Discord's in there. It's a
yeah.
permanent link that's always available. So we're good to go, and we'll see you guys next week.